YouTube. It's Brian Phillips here. Ready to open this box right now. We haven't done one of these for a little bit. I'm excited. So let's do it right now. You can probably tell from the title of the video, but if not, you must be one of our avid watchers. Thank you. Oh, what do we have here? It's the version 4 of the J-3 Cub from FMS. Beautiful. Hey, listen. I've had enough of your tossing. Cut it out.
Oh.
It says right on the box.
I put it upward.
No tossing.
No tossing. Well.
Maybe a few times. So as you can see, there's some floats equipped on this one. I'm not 100% sure if it comes with it. Let's show them the spec sheet here. Okay. Looks like we have a wingspan 1400 millimeters. I didn't know it was that big. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Spring-loaded gear. Nice. Fancy. Okay. Really detailed on the motor and everything. That's awesome. Can't wait. Ooh, glass canopy. Amazing. Okay, so what else do we know? 1,302 grams. That's light. Goodness gracious. Four servos.
No floats?
Oh, no flaps. Bummer. This one doesn't come with floats? I don't know.
I don't know. I can't tell
3S 2200, 25C minimum, so we'll be flying on 30C. Should be fine. It's shown with wheels here. It's shown with wheels on the front. I don't know if the floats are included or not.
It says float, optional float here on the front, so
Here's
I
a
don't
picture.
know.
Well, and I wouldn't care just quite yet because we aren't going to use the floats just yet because the pond is not finished.
It would
as
be
you
a
can
little...
see from the giant hole in our yard. But we're going to open this right now and see what it has to offer. I've actually wanted this plane for a long time because I am a sucker for Cubs, always have been. And there's lots of other Carbon Cubs and Carbon Cub SS, Carbon Z Cub, Carbon Cub S3. A lot of them are, you know, more advanced. Mm-hmm. J3 Cub, love it. Oh, this one does come with floats.
I like the color scheme because it's different. It's not...
Yeah, it's red and white.
Yeah.
I love yellow Cubs,
yeah,
to be honest,
I do too. I do too.
And to be honest, we haven't seen a lot of them. They're usually like blue and white or orange and white if you get the Carbon Z Cub, which, by the way, I love that plane. It's one of my all-time favorites, but it is considerably bigger. I mean, it's like twice the size of this plane.
Yeah.
And that's a 2-meter plane. This is a 1.4, so you're like, that doesn't seem like it'd be twice as big. Well, it is. Just take my word for it. Okay, there it is. All right, so packaging on an FMS plane. Unfolded manual. Good job. Okay, because they knew I was going to complain. Okay, so as you can see, we've got floats. We've got some float equipment. Now, what you guys may not know is because we know that this pond was in our future, we've hung on to floats from like all the planes that we've done. Some of which we got floats that we got in separate kits and they're just ready to go when we do have access to a pond again. Our original, the property that we used to live at had 3 ponds on it as part of the association. And so we were able to use that area. And that was kind of before all the remote ID stuff and the drone registry was just coming out. It was like, it was all kind of new and exciting and everybody loved it. Just kidding, that last part was made up. But so we didn't have to worry about that crap. And we were able to fly and had a really good time. Mm-hmm. It was awesome. But now it's gonna be a pond on our property, which is nice, okay? Even though it was, you know, part of our association, it really wasn't ours to use, okay? So we've got the float adapters. So we usually just take all this stuff, we wrap it up in a nice bundle, and then we can retrieve it for later use. And usually my goal is, I will take like stretch film, and I will take these 2 floats, plastic lined on the bottom. That's good. I kind of wish that went up a little bit further, but it's okay. Very, very light, okay? And the way these things work, if you haven't seen one for a long time, the shaft goes in from this side or that, and then there's a set screw that goes through and bites, okay? And then this one has a powered rudder. You can see the servo cable, so there should be a servo output. And then of course you've got that little kick, and I don't know if that's the inside or the outside, but you can see how this edge doesn't have the edge, this does. And I can't remember which way it goes, but I usually take them something like this, and I will wrap them together with like a stretch film, and I'll put all the frames and everything together, and then I can just go to that one, and I take and mark it with a marker.
Yeah, label them.
And I say J3 Cub, FMS, 1.4 meter. Because otherwise it'd be extremely hard to find stuff.
They all look the same.
Yeah, they really do,
together.
because a lot of times they are the same.
Yeah.
And that's one thing to keep in mind is if you get a mismatched set of floats and you really like the floats, but you don't want to use them on the plane they came with, see, they machine the flats in there. And we will do an unboxed build when we do floats, okay? So you can watch the build part. But these would be like struts that go from side to side. What was I saying before I interrupted myself?
Oh, you wrap them up and we label them.
But we label them for the particular plane, 11.7 prop. And then when you're ready to use them, you don't necessarily have to use them for that exact plane. A lot of times the hardware is similar. So you may be able to cheat and like use this on a Ranger or something like that.
If you get something that has optional floats that doesn't come with it, you might be able to share.
Or if you've crashed a plane and you had floats on it,
yeah,
that's another thing you can do to save a buck. Okay, so wing tube, carbon fiber, very thick wall.
Yeah, it is.
It should be strong. Did I say 11.7 on the prop? Bullnose prop, show them the tip.
11.7, yep.
Very sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, so the landing gear comes out. It's kind of taped to this box thingy. We've always been really impressed with the packaging on FMS. We have gotten very few planes, honestly, that have been damaged. Rock hard wheels. Oh my goodness. Like absolutely rock hard.
Are those plastic pants?
These are not pants. These are struts. Every time I hear the wind blowing behind me, it sounds like there's like a foam box sliding behind me. I don't know if you guys are going to hear it, but it's incredibly windy. Okay, so this is where the springs are going to attach. They're going to be mostly decorative. I think that's going to be what matters. Okay. So beautiful landing gear. They're just rock hard tires and they're dense. Okay, so a little bit of foam to protect the foam from the foam. Oh man, that motor is absolutely gorgeous. I can't wait to show you. Okay, so noteworthy detail. No flaps, which is fine because that's the way. Oh, that's pretty. Got the simulated wing, the bumps. I love that. Looks like the struts and then fabric covered wing. That's what it looks like, top and bottom. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Let's see it in the sun.
It's really nice.
It's good. And
then of course we are going to need this because there is quite a bit of flex in there. Okay, so when this wing spar goes to a fiberglass wing spar pocket. That's going to go into the side of the plane. It looks like the wing is actually going to go into the side of the plane like that. That's how we're going to get our 1400 millimeter wingspan. Okay. Also, these are going to have to go through a glass canopy, so that's potentially. Oh no, the plugs go up. We don't have to feed them through. I was getting nervous because kind of reminded me of the Cessna 182 from FMS. Beautiful plane. Kind of a pain to build that one because it's an early version. I would love it if they came out with a V4 on that.
Yeah, if this is a V4.
Full disclosure, this one was bouncing around in here. Look at that. It marked the foam. It had gotten into a bunch of different positions. I want to make sure this isn't broken. It's not. Well, it's pretty sturdy. This is going to snap together. That's awesome.
Nice.
And then pinch hinge, not broken. Check that, guys. Check it. And look, this is huge, very thick, very robust, strong plastic. It's probably going to take the shaft from the tail dragger wheel, which we'll get to in no time. Other side of the wing. I do like the white. I think I would have liked yellow a little better, but I love the red and white. The decals look really nice, really clean, thin right here. Which I like. Very thin wires going to the 9-gram digital servos. It's kind of strange. I wonder why they opted for digital servos on this. And by the way, guys, I really, honestly, I don't even understand what the difference is. I know that there's a difference because they call them digital servos as opposed to analog servos, but my understanding is it's all operating in the analog world anyway, so I don't know. Somebody explain it to me in the comments. Okay, so we have more foam to protect the foam from foam. I pulled that out earlier, actually. Okay, horizontal stabilizer and elevator. This thing is going to receive the vertical stabilizer. It looks like the screws are going to go in and pocket down first. Wing strut mount points, carbon fiber. A little bit of flexibility there, not a big fan of that. Carbon fiber to reinforce this plastic, hold down the weight. And then I would suggest you work this a little bit. It's a pinch hinge, but it's a different design because look the way they cut that. That's cool because it's a perfectly rounded shape and then a sharp edge. I wonder how they did that.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really clean, but I would work this, guys. Work this. This is already loose. This is not. It feels very firm. So it's gonna have a lot of material that holds it, but first time you break that off, that'll be a pain to rehinge that. So maybe don't do that thing. Excuse me, guys. Okay, so continuing onward, looks like we got some wing struts, bag of, holy shnikes.
That looks like a big bag of hardware.
That is a lot of nutsack.
Oh.
Yeah, hold my nutsack. Hey, look at this, USB-A to USB-C.
Oh, good, we can, yeah.
Oh!
Did you hit a plane?
Yeah, but it was going toward the SWS and instead it hit RJ's plane.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, RJ. But it's okay, it didn't damage it, it just bounced off. I was trying to throw it like over the stairway.
Down the stairs.
Just in case you guys were wondering. Yeah. We're not gonna update the software ever on a Reflex V2.
Nope.
You know why?
I do know why.
Are you gonna say it?
Can we say it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we're not gonna say it.
Well, wait longer and you'll find out why.
I'm never gonna do it anyway. But you guys will just have to wait longer. We already know something. You probably already heard it.
Might already
it's
know.
FMS.
We don't know.
I'm sure they told somebody on some website somewhere, like way before they told us. As you can see, we're getting mostly empty here, and this is a beautiful plane. Like, wow. Really pretty. Bad match on the color, though.
Maybe some year we can fly it.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it sounds like our house is going to blow away.
It does. It's
This spring has just been incredibly windy, and it's not unusual, though. Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
That is so pretty. Look at the motor.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is gorgeous. You guys see what I'm talking about? Oh, radiator and everything, exhaust ports, gas cap, sweet. Look at the match though. Color match is terrible.
It looks,
huh?
that's weird.
Yeah, it's a bad color match.
Yeah.
But that's because this is plastic and that's paint. And then look, hatch access, I think, or does it even open? I thought it would pop open, but it's not coming out. Okay, whatever. I take it back, but then look at the instrument cluster. So cool.
Oh, I'm getting a glare.
Very basic, and that's the way it would be in real life.
Oh, yeah, cool.
I think the Pilot's actually a little bit small for what the size here would be. Because you're pretty big in this plane. It's like a tandem seat, so your legs would like go around the seat of the straddle. Really small plane. Receiver pocket, Reflex V2. Everything's labeled. Looks like a stronger magnet here, and it just drops down in and just boop. Pretty good. And then right here, holy cow, that is really hard to pop open. I'm like, I'm gonna break my fingernail doing it.
Is it? I mean, it's supposed to, right?
It shows you the 40 amp ESC under there. Let's just go with, I'm not gonna open it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we gotta open it.
Okay.
Now that we've talked about it. Holy cow, I don't know why. I'm not gonna open it, never mind. Never mind, I'm not gonna open it. Rock hard tire. And then what do we have? We have a 9-gram digital plastic. Yeah, guys, if you're trying to put money into a plane, give me Metal Gear. I'll take analog all day long. I don't care if it's digital. What difference does it make? It's not a helicopter tail boom. Which, by the way, if you, okay, so here's one place where I would see a digital servo. I would normally think of a digital servo as having a much higher refresh rate on its position, like its compliance with the pulse width modulation. So when we call for a position, then depending on the square wave, the length of the peak of the square wave is going to determine the absolute position of the servo's output. Okay? If you didn't understand any of that, that's okay. You move the stick and it goes there.
I love when you explain pulse width modulation.
Pulse width modulation.
Yeah, it makes me feel really smart because I have no idea.
I can show you sometime on an oscilloscope
Okay,
what
good.
pulse width modulation is.
Hey, where does the battery load? Is it in the bottom?
Oh crap. I hope it's not that like tray that we couldn't open.
I know. That's what I was just
I'm kind of
wondering.
guessing that's where it is though.
Because I was just looking through the cockpit here while you're trying to repackage your box. So
What were you looking at?
the cockpit?
Okay.
Because there's wires that go back through there, but the battery doesn't go up here.
Do we have to read the manual to figure out where the battery goes? Have we been doing this for a decade, or I feels like it? We should know these things.
It's gonna have to go on the bottom. Why do they do that on float planes?
We already went over the safety instructions. Excuse me, people. Okay, so yeah, so on a float plane, that would be a really dumb place to put a battery. I just feel like there's a lip there designed to.
What's the hole for?
This pops out. I don't know. That's not a hole though. Is there an LED that would go there? That thing's installed upside down. That's supposed to go up.
What is it?
Isn't it? Like, look inside there. There's like, you see that bump right there? Gotta be something going on with this. I feel like maybe they mounted that upside down or something. That thing feels like it should pop out. And I don't know, is that like a battery storage position? They want an 1100 milliamp hour battery. So it's either here or here,
Well,
but like, that's where the receiver's gonna go.
Where's the connector?
Well, for the the ESC's here, so it's gotta be over here. Oh, good lordy lord. Seriously, try that. See if you can get
I
that.
don't want to break a nail.
You don't have to break a nail, just don't break it. I just feel like I'm doing something wrong. Does it not seem like really hard to get out?
I was really hoping I would get it.
Hey, don't break a nail.
I won't.
Here.
No, it's really.
This is weird. I mean, I just don't, it feels like I'm gonna have to, oh, there we go. Oh my goodness. Woo-wee!
It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's really nice. It's really strong, but it's like almost too strong.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's definitely where you put your battery. XT60
goodness.
equipped. Oh, dang it. Oh, safety first. We got to make sure we're totally safe. Dang it. Oh, it ripped off. They always rip off. So XT60, yeah, that's going to suck the load when you got floats on.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe on V5, we can get that taken care of.
Okay, but
Just put this
you're gonna
right.
have to make a tape thingy for that so it doesn't. That's insane.
Holy shnikey balls. That is insane.
You should not have to use a tool to open the battery hatch.
I don't, okay. Because like there's no landing gear mounted right now.
Yeah, right.
Like this is just the fuse. Good my lord, that is crazy. Okay, you see this? It's got to be the culprit. See, because like even when I push this down.
That little V shape of plastic is the problem.
Let's get ready to screw things up before we even start. You guys ready for this? Check this out. Watch this. We're gonna fight fire with fire, camera crew. Should we use a taser?
I don't think that one will work.
Wait, how does this work?
Let's turn it on.
Here, come here.
You do it first. I don't think that's gonna work.
You want to see if it works?
I guess we're gonna find out.
That's kind of cool, actually.
See, you've been making fun of my little clicker thing.
Why do I feel like I'm making an electro boom video? Whoa, it melted it perfectly.
I can smell it.
Did you guys see what I just did? I heated it up and then I pushed it in just a little bit. Now it's not gonna work probably.
Turn the thingy off.
Oh, you don't want this to start a fire? See now.
No, I just don't want it to die because I don't have to charge it. Our clickers never work when we need them. That one has worked every time we've needed
millions
it.
of these things. And you want to make fire like once every 6 months. It's not like we're over here chain smoking.
No.
Okay, look, so drop that in. Oh, that felt
Well, but wait. Can you get it off?
Here, you get me off. Why are you chuckling?
I'm not chuckling. I can't do it. I still can't do it. I'm not breaking a nail
How do you
for
think they
this.
feel on RC Sparks? Get out there.
I still can't do it.
Okay, so nails. So seriously, guys, I'm hoping you can understand this. Like I charred my plastic for you. I was thinking the other thing we could do is come in here and just grab this and try to weaken that plastic, push it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, that's gonna be a pain in the neck to load the battery. It's pretty easy to close now, but like, we have full ready access to this right now. Like, in fact, you see what I'm talking about? Like, this is gonna go in here. Yeah, that's gonna be out of the way mostly. Holy cow, does that snap in there? Yeah, instructions are helpful for some of this, but we just like to waffle through.
It's more
Let's just put it together.
Okay.
Let's just do it.
Let me find you some screws.
Yeah, let's get in the nut sack, nut and bolt sack. There might even be no nuts in here. It might just be just bolts.
There are nuts in there. I saw them.
Oh, there are?
Yeah.
There's some stuff in here, full disclosure, that's gonna be for floats. Yep. So I like to keep all that stuff together and then wrap it up like we talked about earlier.
Just like you like to keep every other item ever.
I just threw that staple away, relax. Don't keep everything. That staple, I just threw it away.
Great.
Good Lord, there's a lot of stuff in there. Those are for the horizontal stab. This is for the rudder, we won't need that. Here's the spring doohickey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that goes up in here. That goes right there, boom, like that.
Okay.
This is so, you know, it's kind of fun to figure this stuff out. What's that for? That's gonna be how you hold the wing struts in, I think.
On the back, on the tail.
I don't know. Like this?
Yeah, there's 4 of them, right?
Yeah, but they're different lengths.
Ooh, fun. 2 top, 2 bottom.
Well, I don't know, we'll find out.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so what else do we have here? This is what I'm looking for right now, I think.
No, you need the red ones.
Red ones, okay. This is for the floats, folks.
Yeah.
100% for sure they go here. Sometimes I make the suggestion to install those so that you don't have to search for them. But if you know you're gonna have a whole kit, keep it together. Keep it together, guys.
Yeah.
Hold it together, camera crew, regardless of how excited you are.
I'm gonna make it.
Okay. I hope not.
Do you hope I won't make it? Oh.
See you in the video. Man, that windsock is like almost bent over. I hope we don't break. By the way, guys, I should say, we don't talk about the windsocks that much anymore because they've been around for a while. Those things are made of fiberglass and they extend out. It looks like a gigantic fishing rod. I can shorten that so it's about the length of this. How short does it get? It's about like 40 inches or something. It's not this short, but it'd be like from here to the
4 feet maybe.
sink.
It would be
and
like
they slide
shortest.
out and then twist in.
Yep.
And it's the weirdest thing because you only have like this much rod exposed from the ground and it just slides over it. And you would think the thing would be broken like a day. We've had these things out in huge thunderstorms.
We never take them down.
Never, well, we take them off and lay them flat in the most extreme circumstances. That's the only time we've ever done that.
Just been like once.
This one's got a corner cut off. So the corner cut off one goes over here, okay? See that?
No, they can't see it.
Well, then you need to move so they can. See this?
Yeah.
That's not snapped down, and I think it's supposed to be. Let's see if we can make it snap down. I feel like it's doing, like it's only gonna go so far. It's not like I'm doing anything wrong, I don't think. See, they just push in there and stay. That's
all it does?
Yeah, that's all it does. And then this is like a float adapt point.
Yeah.
So then my concern is this has to be pushed down pretty drastically to hold in position. And that's fine, except that it's gonna be like, wow, that's a lot of pressure on those plastic straps. So, by the way, I'm almost certain this is gonna be used for the rudder, so I will go ahead and leave that over with the rudder. These springs are gonna be real easy to put on. And I think they're gonna be easier once we get that mounted, so we'll do that last, the springs. This is, okay, let's see what else we got here, because we gotta find the right hardware. Okay, looks like elevator rudder, okay? Elevator rudder, because obviously we have nothing attached yet. Elevator rudder, yep, we're good there. Antenna on the top, okay? So we'll put that over here. All right, so let's talk about screws. Oh, good Lord. We have nuts. You were talking about nuts.
I said there were nuts.
There's 2 nuts in that nut sack. Then there's a bunch of screws. 1, 2, 3, okay? There's 3, there's 4, 5. Short ones, 6, 7, 8, good Lord. There's a lot of them. And then the longer ones, they're gonna be probably where the wings join. And then these ones, different length, different length, different length. Are you giving like an extreme close-up of my bolts and screws?
Yeah.
And that's it's awkward. Again,
see them all.
Sparks. Can tell them about it. There you go. There you go. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 of the longer ones. So let's talk about the longer ones. The longer ones are definitely not going to be for the back portion of the wing. They'll be probably, I'm guessing they're for the front. And we have hardware that would potentially be used for the floats, but as you can see here, that's in this bag.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Okay?
So then there's probably 4 for the front landing gear.
But there'd be extras, quite a bit extra.
No, yeah,
There's only
okay, so
4.
there's 4. Are these all the same length, these shorties?
The shorties are the same
They're the
length.
same? 1, 2,
These
3,
are long, so
4.
I think this is probably for up on the top. Oh, horizontal stabilizer might take the longer ones. That might be the longer ones.
Because that would be 2.
Yep,
And
so
1
let's look
extra.
in the manual now that we've figured it out. Reflex V2, setup instructions. We don't really need to set it up. That's why we like the Reflex. We are gonna use an AR620, just so you guys know. Yep, 10s. 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter. Yeah, that's
Nuts.
correct.
What do we need the nuts for?
That's M3 screws. That's gonna be the longer screws, 16 millimeters, hold the strut down, okay?
Oh, okay.
These snap. Those are, those are 8s? What? So there's 8 and then 12. The 12 goes in the front, the 8 goes in the side, the 10, 10, 10, 10 on the inside of the wing.
So these are the little Phillips looking screws. These.
No, that's 12 millimeters, that's 8, and that's 8. So then there's a 10 and an 8? Uh-oh, that's gonna be hard to tell the difference. Okay, so these are probably 10s. That's not a 12
I'm saying
though.
those. Those
No,
are
that's
8s,
an 8.
and those are
Those
12s.
those are 12s? You think so?
Wing, 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 wing. Gear,
Gear, gear, gear, extra.
extra. Strut.
Why do we have 3?
Strut, strut, extra.
What strut?
This.
No,
Isn't that what you said, the long ones?
no, well, if there's a nut that's involved, then that would make sense. Like
Yep.
this goes through.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so that's for the
So then
strut. So
this is-
strut, strut, extra.
That's all tail
So
then.
extra, extra. Okay, all right. So in that case, as usual, because we don't have a description that actually tells us exactly what to use, we have to kind of figure it out. Be jealous of this. It's
I
amazing.
am not.
You're not jealous of my
No, 'cause
packaging
it's in my
style?
house.
Yeah, I know. 2 millimeters is my guess. What's your guess?
2, of course.
2? Okay, 2. All right, so we're gonna use these. Ooh, I was like, that would be
Did you think
crazy
it's
if you were
wrong?
wrong. Well, I mean, we both guessed the same thing. So I'm gonna start with the front hole because usually I like to start with the front hole and then I survive longer.
That's a lot of pressure.
No, it's actually not
Is it okay
bad.
now it's going in?
I thought it was gonna be terrible because I was having to press down, but it actually doesn't feel that bad.
Okay.
I was thinking it was gonna wanna break that strap. And it's actually not too bad. I thought it was gonna be hard to do, but it's it's going into a nut zert. It's not like it's plastic with, self-tapping screws. It's gonna be pretty sturdy. I mean, these things are gonna have a tendency to wanna break out that stuff, I think, on rough landings. We'll see though. This is a pretty robust landing gear for a J3 Cub. Like, way more sturdy than what we're used to seeing. But, okay, here's the problem, guys. If you have a really, really rigid set of landing gear, and then you have a rock hard tire, it's gonna chatter like crazy, I bet.
Oh.
Yep. And these are pretty wheels. They've got the Cub crafters right there,
Yeah.
the Cub mark. I just wish they were, I mean, I don't mind, we don't have to have Tundra tires on every single aircraft, but it would be better.
On every single one? Like all the jets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. One of our competitors did that, and it looked terrible, and it was embarrassing. It's
They
okay.
put Thunder tires on a Jet?
Yep.
With a
On
butter
a
knife?
Viper 70. It was not that competitor. It was another competitor. It looked ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
It's an old video. It's been around for years. I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet. This is pretty easy though.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, okay.
That one's not going in now that you said that.
Now that I jinxed me, it's because I tightened this one all the way so it didn't have a chance to move.
There it was.
And so I started threading on the other half. Okay, there we go. Man, that's one thing about this screwdriver is it's so good. Like sometimes it's so dang tight. Once you get it tightened in there, it wants to stay in the end.
Are you complaining because it's too tight?
Yes, I repent. All right, so springs. So spring-a-ding-ding-ding. You guys see? There's an open end on the spring. Can you see?
Mm-hmm. I could.
Open end, okay? I'm just gonna do this however it goes. Whoa, okay. Oh, that's easy, easy peasy. I'm gonna try to close that spring hole a little bit. Don't you think?
Really? Do you really think it's gonna like pop out?
Yeah, the worst possible time, obviously.
Well, that's true.
I mean, I'm just afraid it's just gonna be awkward. Because if it does, you know, good luck with that. Now the other thing is we could tape that so it doesn't fall every time.
We probably should have done that 4 steps ago.
You mean like before I thought of the solution?
I already said tape it.
Well, I know, but I didn't know what you were talking about.
Oh.
We weren't, well, and how are you gonna tape it before you put the landing gear in, camera crew? Huh?
Very carefully.
Huh?
Right there.
What are you talking about? The landing gear are in though. You have to slide the landing gear in that socket.
In this slot.
Yeah, excuse me. I have to get busy doing things here. So listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this super complicated step. We're gonna cut some tape because it's got like stuff on it. I'm gonna throw it into the garbage can. Then I'm gonna take a piece of tape that's about this long, however long, get out your measuring tape. And then I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna try to go widthwise, and I know we were just talking about how the landing gear have to clear that, okay? So watch this. I'm gonna push this in case I wanna pull those gear out and put the floats on, okay? See, solutions. That's what we're all about here on Brian Phillips RC. Solutions to problems.
That we created.
Mostly. All right.
So now can you get the door open?
Well, now that I know it's not gonna break, I mean, it is a little bit more comforting.
Yeah.
To unlatch it.
Okay.
All right, so we've got that done, and you can feast your eyes on that beautiful thing. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm seriously, it is a nice looking plane. Very nice looking plane. I'm super excited to see it. Okay, so these things make me a little bit nervous, these hooky things. So let's next start guessing on the tail. Okay, so we have, obviously this goes down. How do you know? Because that side has a pocket to receive the screw. And obviously this has to drop down to make that flat for the vertical stabilizer. Oh, it kind of sticks in there nicely. Like you wouldn't even hardly need hardware, good
Do you need
Lord.
to worry about that tail wheel yet or not yet? Nope.
You know, admittedly, this is probably a good time to ask that question because, look, show the people, it's gonna go into that.
Okay.
But I think we have to get the screws on first. So
Yep, I agree.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's gonna slide forward. We just have to hold that in place. And then how the heck are you gonna get that screw in? That's gonna be awkward. Yeah, awkward as awkward gets. All right, well, we'll see how awkward it really is when we do it. Okay, so 2 of these shorter ones? What?
2 of, it's gotta be these.
Yeah, that would be a little bit of a tight squeeze, let's say. Okay, so which length did the instruction manual call for?
8s.
The shorters?
Yep, and then 12 goes on to the vertical.
8s on the end of the screwdriver.
Is that a Phillips screw?
Yeah, it's a it's a Phillips screw, yeah. That does not seem like you're gonna get enough penetration there. Are you 100% certain?
Yeah.
I mean, I did say it felt like it was well supported even without hard. This screwdriver's too big.
Because you need,
that 3 millimeters.
you need a 2 millimeter Phillips.
Oh, seriously?
Well, I don't know. It says it's a KA 2.0, which I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
It's
shaft
Chinese.
size, not the drive size. So I'm going to use a Chinese screwdriver that's made guaranteed for life to fail. That's why it's bent. You see it bent?
Just because you use it.
You can straighten them. Oh, jeez.
Not enough. Still not the right size?
Not enough purchase to tighten. Okay, I'm going to lift this up so I can get my eyes on it really good. You guys may not be aware of this, but I had my balls lasered recently.
Just one of them.
Just this one. I've had laser surgery on my eyes for 3 times now. And actually the 4mm drives them just fine. That's very bizarre. And so I'm still, my left eye, my nearsightedness is kind of still like there. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I'm getting my far stuff back. This is kind of a function of normal laser correction, laser surgery healing process. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this here, there's a hook point here and a hook point here that's going to eventually go out to there. Can we even get those on now?
They don't show putting them on yet.
So they just assume we're not going to do it? Hey, people, camera crew, pay attention to what's going on over here,
We're
please.
supposed to do them later.
Are we really?
They're later in the directions, but...
Well, the reason I say is because I want to make sure we can get them on later. I think we'll be able to. We're just going to have to move the wing and drop it in.
Okay.
I
mean, you can put them on now. It's not the first time
yeah,
we've
but
done
then we're going to have to
order.
put a shaft. We're going to have to do a shaft for the rudder. And I'm just like not 100% sure. Okay, so we're sliding into this pocket and then sliding it forward.
Okay.
This time we do have to keep this centered, and this is going to drop in there. There's no screws or anything yet, okay? So drop it in, slide it forward. Got to press it down a little bit. There it goes. Now, when this gets slid all the way in, there's going to be a screw that goes in here, a long one. And you can tell that's going to definitely be a machine style. Not a machine style. It's going to be a regular, like, self-tapper screw. That's awkward to get in there. I'm putting that tail wheel straight. Man, that is awkward. Do you guys see how I'm fighting this? Mm-hmm. There's just, like, not much to hang on to. And I don't want to break it. So I have to put my hand, the palm of my hand. There it goes. There it goes. Did you guys see what I did?
Yep.
And then look at this. Oh, man. Oh, I have to push this up. See that? Once it's up. Okay, there we go. Now it's in. Now, show them from this side, please. Now, when you set your screw in here, that's going to pull all this and suck it tight together, okay? So that your tail wheel will move.
And that's your other shorty screw that goes in the side.
So then one extra.
Yep.
One shorty, okay? Oh, that's not a Phillips screw.
See over your shoulder.
I'm going to use the 4mm. And when I say 4mm, I mean a Phillips with a 4mm drive tip on it. This might be kind of awkward. So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we try to film the whole process because I know a lot of you, especially when you first get started, you might be thinking, hey, how do you do this all? And, you know, if you ask in the comments, I'm just going to say, hey, watch the videos that we spent literally lifetimes filming. And that's because we try hard to make a video that's going to help you get from the box all the way through the process and then into the air. Now, admittedly, sometimes these things change. And so we'll say, hey, you know, we understand you have a question about flaps. Well, there's no flaps on this particular aircraft. So we might point you to a plane that we do have flaps on for that portion. But you might choose to cut in flaps on this, which yes, you could actually do that, by the way, where you would just basically come over here and you would take your X-Acto knife and maybe trace a little bit deeper flap or a little bit shallower flap or however you want to cut it right there and then, you know, make a little edge. And then you would leave some of the material here, maybe score it and then fold it down, cut in a pocket, put a second servo here, run the line back into the wing, same thing on both sides, and then you can set that as an additional channel. Just remember, ailerons go opposite directions, so you mount them the same direction on the wing and they run in opposite directions, but you want to mount the servos so that the output is on the same, it's pointing the same direction. So you've got like your wing here. Okay, so just imagine there was a fuse in the middle. There's not, I know. But you would lay the servo. You see how this one's facing that way and this one's facing that way? they would be facing either both of them this way or both of them that way. And then the output will move in the same direction because the flaps operate together. Otherwise, you have to use a servo signal reverser on one of them, or what I like to do alternatively, the other thing you can do is you can lay them both so that if they're opposite, then you have to use 2 channels to control that. Nobody wants to do that. It's a waste of channels. Okay, so you lay them both this way or both that way, and then the output shaft will move at the same direction and the same rate. But you have to decide where you want to put the control rod, and the control rod is dictating where the pocket goes. So one's going to be pocketed, they're both going to be pocketed here, or they're both going to be pocketed there. So it's not symmetrical. Okay, does that make sense? These are symmetrically, located. Yeah. These will not be symmetrically located unless you want to waste a channel. Don't waste a channel on that. Not worth it. It is not going to improve your circumstances at all. And by the way, this isn't 1400 millimeters because you're going to straddle the body of the aircraft. Okay, make sense? Mm-hmm. But here on Brian Phillips RC, we try to give you guys little tidbits because we know a lot of you might want to do that. Now, the other thing you can do on a plane like this, if you want flaps, but you don't want to do all that mechanical stuff, you can actually cut a piece of like white plastic or cardboard or balsa wood and paint it white. And then you can tape that thing down and make a split flap that comes down. It's not quite as aerodynamically effective on this plane, but it'll still slow it down, still create, a lot of, it'll reduce drag. It'll increase drag rather, but it'll reduce the stall speed, okay? Which is what you want to do, and it'll change the angle of attack on the plane. So it's going to do all the same things that a conventional flap would do. The only reason I suggest that is because if you want to keep that flat wing design, like RJ's plane over here, what's this plane called?
The Decathlon.
The Decathlon?
Yep.
It doesn't have inboard flaps, but if you wanted to keep that pristine look, but you still need flaps to slow it down for your airfield, then you could do something like that. Okay, I've done that before. I did that on a Sig Rascal years ago. Yeah, this is one my grandpa built before he passed away. Okay, so we've got the landing gear screw in. Now we need to put this screw in, which is the longer one.
Yes.
So the longer ones are 12. Let's show the people the difference between the 12. Here's the 12, and here's the 8. Mm-hmm. You guys see that? So we're gonna have one spare 12 and one spare 8. One spare big and one spare small. Right? So now that's gonna go, you sure we're supposed to use the long one here?
Yes, I'm sure.
Okay, yep, the pocket is much deeper in. Okay. This is gonna be a nice looking plane when it's done.
Yeah, it is.
That's a big wingspan for a small plane. I bet it's gonna have super, super good slow flight performance, which is why I'm not like super bent out of shape about the absence of flaps, because in real life there wouldn't be flaps on this plane. I do like flaps a lot though, guys. Full disclosure, if you're beginning and you're a brand new pilot, flaps complicate the flight process to a certain extent, but the trade-off is that you can land so much slower. And landing slower and getting into the air a little easier are huge value adders for the unskilled brand new pilot, okay? Problem is you have to know when to do it, and you have to know how to do it. And so we'll try to talk you through that as you watch us flying, especially when it's a beginner style aircraft. But you may want to weigh that into your decision making when you're picking a plane for a brand new plane, if you're a brand new pilot rather.
Or you just fly like me and forget to always turn the flaps off.
Which, okay, you can fly around with flaps on all the time. You'll just fly slower.
Yeah.
Okay, and a lot less efficiency because you're gonna have a lot more drag.
Yeah.
But remember, what does a wing do? A wing produces drag and lift. And so if you don't have drag and lift, then you're not gonna fly very good.
Right.
Okay, unless it's a helicopter, and then even then you're creating drag and lift, just in a circular motion. Okay, so let's talk about these things before we get the wing on. It'll be easier to see and visualize. I can't tell, they look pretty symmetrical to me.
They do.
But as you can see, there'll be a front and a back. So we'll have to pay attention to that when we get ready for that step.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put those there. Okay, now we've got these things too, which are inboard. They're gonna go in the middle. So I think that'll make better sense to kind of mount those when we get ready to drop those into place. Bad color match here, I was just gonna point out. See?
Yep. These are
but it's
white.
not a deal breaker. Oh, look, hon, it's not an LED, it's a pocket to receive the antenna, which, wow, that fits really
fit.
bad. Holy cow.
Maybe it is still upside down.
No. What is this? Where does that go? Do we see on the pictures? I'm guessing that they had the same problem we do, so they never put it in.
You can't see the top of the plane
I know, on any of the angles.
on any of the pictures. Nope.
Yep, that's supposed to go in there. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That is the sloppiest hole I've ever stuck it in.
That is terrible.
Here, you do it. Then I won't feel so bad.
Okay.
This is
Not
a
left-handed
family
either.
effort.
There you go.
All right, so yeah, definitely not gonna fit.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so also,
Like snap or something?
no, it's just like, it's got a terrible fit. That is the worst fitment we have ever had on an FMS vehicle, ever.
Ever.
That is ridiculous.
Maybe the Dynam guy was
Yeah, the Dynam guy was working there that day.
assimilated.
He was trying to get in.
Figure out what to do.
Okay. All right, so we'll come back to that Dynam joke later. All right, so we got to get the wing on, but we could put the prop on. Why don't we put the prop on? I know some of you guys are cringing right now. If you're brand new to the hobby and you don't know how to keep yourself from losing fingers, just don't put this on yet. You can put it on later. No big deal. But for the sake of the video, okay, because we do short format here.
And for the sake of the video, we don't go in the order of the manual.
Yeah, we don't.
We
really,
never have, and we never will.
We don't really care.
So don't
ask.
Brian's not going to go in a different
Okay,
order.
so there you go.
So you know.
Yeah, just saying. Okay, see, nut.
It's kind of like a squirrel. Just going to do it. Is that all the further back that goes?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems kind of weird to me too.
Okay.
Nice.
Is that it?
Listen, not all things are complicated, even though I try to make them all
I've lived with you
complicated.
for a really long time.
Are you calling me old? Okay, there it is. That looks so sweet, actually. That motor is awesome.
That is pretty cool.
I can't believe they went through the trouble of making it so beautiful and then matched the color so poorly. That was a little disappointing. It's not terrible match, but it's one of the...
We've seen
better matches.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, truthfully, the ones that I like the color match best on are the ones that are jigged and painted together.
Yeah.
The trade-off is if you scratch this cowl, it's red. And so it's gonna show like maybe a little bit lighter red, but it's still gonna be red. If you scratch a painted cowl, it's gonna be white or black or whatever base color.
And then matching that color is gonna be terrible too
match.
on your own.
But it's okay, it's good enough for what we're doing. And that's what we do on this channel, Brian Phillips RC. If you guys haven't seen a lot of our video footage, we build them, we try to help people figure out how to put it together so they can fly. There's gonna be a little commentary in the middle, some conversation about hardware from time to time, penetration of the rods and things like this. We do cover that on Brian Phillips RC. Maybe we're gonna give you a close look at the cockpit. Okay, things like that. We want you guys to understand what you're getting, because online, if you look at a picture on a website, it's really easy to make that picture look good. But we're gonna show you in the same environment. We're gonna show you this J-3 Cub up against this F7F, which is absolutely to die for beautiful. Okay, we're gonna show you in great detail. We're gonna show you the spring-loaded oleos. We're gonna show you the problems we have, like that tipping. We're gonna show you up against competitive brands. Also, well, anyway, I'm gonna come back to that later. We're gonna show you the real experience. And that's what we try to do on Brian Phillips RC. Now, we don't do it perfectly. We do our best. And that means that sometimes you have some waffling. It might take a little longer to do our videos than the other competitive offerings on YouTube. But we want to answer the entire scope of the process, okay? We could put those control rods on before we put the wing on. No, because we need to have the radio system
Just
in.
the little hooks.
We'll just put them on after we're done.
Okay.
We'll just put them on when we're done.
That's fine.
So at the end of the day, we want you guys to have a good experience, and the best way we know how to improve your experience is to show the entire process, because really the people watching a long format video like this are people that need a little bit of help. So if you're that person, you're in the right place, Brian Phillips RC. And if you've already figured out how to build planes and it's not really rocket science, and truthfully it's not, then all you have to do is just watch the flights and skip the Unbox build radio setup. It might not be for you, okay? Okay, so this is a plane stand. If you don't have one, you'll probably end up with one at some point, okay? Got a plug here. I don't know how this plug is gonna work. Could you hold that tip of the wing for me? Okay, so, gosh, it is hard to tell. It looks like orange is towards you. So you see brown, orange, red. brown, red, orange, or yellow. If it was Futaba color code, it would be black. Oh man, that's gonna push in.
Don't poke that in.
That's gonna totally push in. I just don't understand. What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to plug this in and then like drop the whole dang thing in? That's
Just
what
push
they
it all
want you to
into
do. That's gonna be so ugly. We'll have to pull it down later. We'll pull it down later. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
So, oh, another fuel tank. So
Yeah,
cool.
That's cool.
Oh, maybe that's oil and not fuel. I feel like a moron now if that's oil. Sorry guys, anybody who's got a J-3 cup, let me know. You guys see what's going on here? I'm just cramming it in the hole, but it's kind of a little bit floppy, so it's hard to stick it in.
Yeah. Do you need help?
Well,
Don't get it stuck around his head.
is it?
No, you're not.
Okay.
We're definitely up to pull
Okay,
that
so
down.
there you go. Okay. Now, keep in mind, because this is on a plane stand, I can turn it like this, and then I can get to the screws. Okay, so let's do that next.
So we're using the short screws.
We're done with the Phillips.
Yes.
The short?
Yes. Four of them.
So I'll grab 2. So guys, what we try to do is we try to give you just the whole rundown, and we try not to cut a bunch of corners on what it takes to actually get in the air. Now, we also used to do more modifications as we went along, but we've gotten to the point now where it's like, we just kind of want to see how they work out of the box. And then you all can make a decision if you think it's worth, changing servos or putting a bigger ESC or replacing or putting something in that's got thrust reverse if maybe this doesn't. Whatever it happens to be, we'll tell you what we think it could use, and then you guys can add whatever you want to what we find. And then
sometimes it's not necessary.
Yeah,
sometimes you
sometimes-
did stuff and then you're like, oh, probably didn't spend the time doing that.
Like flaperons. Like for instance, some of you are gonna ask, how are you setting up flaperons on here? I'm not gonna set up flaperons. I don't even really like flaperons that much. I mean, they work. Maybe on a Concendo Evo, flaperons are nice. But you know what I'd much rather have than flaperons on a Concendo Evo? Inboard flaps. Just give me inboard flaps. On a sailplane, I want inboard flaps. And if you're not gonna give me inboard flaps, give me a full length aileron. And that's the only reason why I'm okay with that on the Concendo or other sailplanes, okay? See? Because outboard flaperons, they're weird. Like it just makes the plane fly wonky in my opinion. Also, putting in the screws on the other side is not gonna be easy. And so I'm gonna put the wing struts on, okay?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, or we could just put the plane upside down.
No, because then I can do one and it'll be easy.
Okay.
Now, this is probably the wrong side. How do I know? Because the thicker one goes up front. So that means this one goes on the other wing. Now, I don't know how to tell which one's which because they're not marked that I've found so far. Sometimes they are and I just don't notice it.
Right.
Because sometimes they have like an L and an R. That says L. Or is that just
Does it?
Yeah, I don't even know if that actually says anything. Hey, you keep blocking my light there, camera.
Sorry.
No, I don't know if it actually says L. It's just kind of got like a molding mark on it. I don't think it says anything.
Okay.
So this goes forward. Okay, so that's gonna go right there and snap in. Okay. Okay, hold them behind. Goodness gracious, that's not pushing in very good. Oh my goodness gracious, I feel like I'm not doing it right. Why does it feel like I'm not doing it right, camera?
There's not really any other way to do it, is there?
Unless it's backward. Is the bigger one in the back or the front?
It's real hard to tell.
I think the bigger one's supposed to be in the front because look at the drawings on that. It sure looks like that goes to the front.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try this again, guys. So this is gonna go like, does this go forward or backward?
It doesn't.
Oh, come on, it really? I think it goes on the back.
It goes on the back.
Okay, all right, look. This is just gonna have to be one of those cram it in. Oh, does it spin? Holy cow, that is really like not easy to get in. Unless it's supposed to go like this and then it rotates around. Because it's kind of got like a bit of a teardrop shape to it. Maybe that's what it does. Holy cow, what is going on with this fitment issues here? Oh man, that's tight. See how I'm putting my hand behind it?
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll damage your wing. I promise you doing this.
So you're not going to want to take your wing off to...
Well, you could take your wing off with
one.
one screw. One
Yeah.
screw here, 2 screws there. And you got to remember, that's still pretty easy for a lot of people. Okay, so this goes either this way or that way. And I think they are not ambidextrous. See? They are not the same.
Was there a mark on right here?
If it is,
There's like 2 little lines, but it's not like an L or an R.
I can't tell. I'm just gonna try to line it up. Yep, this goes either that way, because it leans to the back, okay? And no, that's totally wrong. That's gonna go on the other one. So then this one, yeah, it's got 2 marks too, hon.
Okay.
Okay, so this is it. No, that's terrible. That's not right. This would be right if it was right. Because you see the angle?
Yep.
What the heck? Is this gonna be right though? Man, they really could have used some labels in their packaging on this because that does not line up.
Okay, so then do this one this way.
No. That goes too far forward. That goes too far.
Yeah.
Did we get 2 of the, we got 2 of the same. We got 2 of the same. This should be mirrored. That says 2. That says, does it say 2?
Nope, I don't see a mark on that one.
But look at the angle.
They both 2 there.
Yeah, that's the same. I don't think they're supposed to be the same, guys.
This just says lock up the fasteners of the supporting bar on the main wing as shown.
Okay, listen. We're gonna pause. Not pause the video. We're gonna pause and just put the nut in and the screw. Okay, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
We're gonna come back to this because I think on the other wing it's gonna fit perfect, and then we're gonna understand
Then
when
we'll
get
know.
shorted. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and sometimes that happens too, guys. FMS is historically very good about that. So I'm gonna put the nut, the nylock with the nylon going forward, and I'm gonna put the screw this way. It's not tapered on either side, so I think it's kind of like dealer's choice. Yeah, that'll fit, okay? The only trouble is, it's gonna be kind of hard to hang on to this.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta get your finger in there.
Well, I think we'll be able to get it done. Yeah, I'm just gonna spin it back. Why do they not have a flat screw for this? It just doesn't seem like, I feel like we're missing something here. Or maybe this is just like a little bit strange engineering wise. You know, and guys, this is just something we run into. It might seem like we're griping a lot about this, and the truth is, we kind of are. But only because we've come to expect better, and we have gotten a lot better over the years. Not meaning us, but the manufacturers have gotten better at doing things like this. Because the truth is, like, we shouldn't have to challenge ourselves with this. The engineers should have worked this out. And this is V4, for God's sake. They had 3 other versions to get this worked out. It could be that they shorted us. They gave us the wrong part.
Yeah, we'll have to look into it.
I would actually be happier if that's what it was. Because otherwise I think, ooh, that nut. I don't know if that's the right size.
You having a problem with your nut over there?
I wish I had 3 hands. Come on, turn. Nope, it's the next size up. These are probably, these are metric, 4.5 millimeters? Excuse me, that's 5. There's 5.5, I bet it's 5.5. Let's see, yeah, it goes on there. Camera crew, will you do me a favor and make sure that, just put a hand on the fuse so it doesn't rock? Okay, so I just want to talk about this. As soon as I get this into the nylon, you're not going to put that screw in the other end. You're just not going to do it, okay? Because there's going to be nowhere to put the drive unless you did the wing spar before the landing gear. Or, I mean, not the wing spar, but the wing strut before the landing gear. Okay, show them the way it's tightened in there. That's why I was saying, why didn't we have like a pan head instead of a tapered head? That's kind of a weird way of doing that.
That's kind of weird.
Again, not like some weird deal breaker, but it just sort of unusual. And I'm telling you guys, one of these is right and one of them is wrong. Because you see how this leans more forward than this leans back, right? You see the bottom piece? one of them should be this way and one should be that way. And then when you put these up side by side, is this just an optical illusion?
I don't know.
No, that's not an optical illusion. It's the wrong part. Okay, so if it's the wrong part, then that means the only solution for me is gonna be, I'm gonna have to tase this too. Taser and bend.
Okay, don't
taser and bend.
Don't taser it yet.
Okay.
Let's figure out which one is right, and then.
Yes. Which one's left?
Yeah.
I can't resist a good play on words. Move that wing over for me. Just pick it up, carry it. Thank you. Okay, now remember, we have wires inside the fuse that are gonna have to get pulled down. So actually, since we're at a spot where I could do that real quick, let's try. If I pull this, there's a Y cable that goes to the front. Oh, by the way, add flaperons with a reflex. Haha, that was a funny joke.
You know what is in there though?
What?
There's a yellow wire in there.
Oh, thrust my reverse.
I just noticed that.
That's good, and we'll have plenty of channels with 6. We'll talk about that later, guys, when we get to that point, when it makes better sense. And we will show you how to wire all this stuff up. Yep, 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 yep. That's a Y cable. Okay.
Goodness.
So not unsuspectingly, good my
Not
lord.
that one.
It is that one. Megan, it is this one. I'm caught.
Okay.
It's that one. I'm like watching it through the window. Through the beautiful window.
I just wanted you to pull the other one out.
No, I know what you're saying. I know why you're concerned too. I'm just gonna take this so I can go back here and pull like further forward and get it. Yep, there. Is it coming?
Nope.
Oh, goodness gracious. Show them the hole. I'm gonna have to get some forceps. Folks, if you don't know what forceps are.
Oh, that is awkward.
If you guys don't know what forceps are, camera crew, these are forceps, also known as hemostats. They're designed to like pinch off veins during surgical operations or some such thing, and RC airplanes. And other things. Okay, so I'm just gonna use the forceps. The bent tips are the ones I use all the time. If you guys ever need a tool and you can't find it, we have links to all the kind of generically what we offer, you know, links. It's not like the exact tool every time, but it's at least something that'll get you started. I think we have like a set of these that we recommend.
Or it'll be like the Amazon search results. So you can like
pick whichever one. Yeah. You'll support Brian Phillips RC if you follow the links, end up buying something, okay? It's not like you're gonna have to break the bank and buy some like 10 times the normal cost, whatever it is.
And things change so much. Or if you have Prime or you don't or whatever, you can pick your options.
That being said, if you want to support Brian Phillips RC and buy planes, that helps us to support the little ecosystem we have between the different manufacturers we work with. So one of those manufacturers is FMS, and we do really appreciate FMS. They make a good plane, and even with the little minor issues we've had on this plane, it's going to be a pretty sweet plane. Okay, look. Okay, you guys may have noticed that what I'm doing is I'm just real gently kind of flattening that between my index finger. Brown is forward on this one. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna start it and then she's gonna hold the end, okay? Just hold the end, okay? Then I'm gonna grab one of the teeth, and just pull that out so it doesn't fall out on me. And then I can do brown either direction, but brown needs to go to brown. Now, if you had a Futaba color code on yours, which you probably won't, because these are Hextronics color code, then you would have black, red, and white. So just match the black to brown and the lightest color to white, and then the red's in the middle on both. But they do the same thing. It's just different brands use different color codes, which is fine. Like, who cares? Not a big deal. JR Hextronics, I should say. JR Hextronics color code. Okay, so once this gets caught up on this hole, then I will use the forceps again to complete the pull. No, I didn't have to this time. Nice. And that's the beauty of building a million planes, is eventually you'll get the hang of it about the time you're done building it for the millionth time. There it is. Very nice. And I want to flatten that out. So watch this. I'm going to just take a screwdriver and I'm just going to flatten that out. And then whilst I'm trying to pull on it a little bit, I'll get it to where the cable goes to a flat position so it looks nicer going under. This cable management is you know, it's not totally necessary, but boy, I tell you what, you'll be happy you did that because it's gonna look a lot less like turds. All right, so time to screw.
Okay. Shorts.
Yep. Thank you. One more. Thank you.
Nope, that was the wrong one. I was gonna hold it
Camera
for you.
crew, goodness gracious.
I was gonna help you.
Just got all excited. Could tell how it was. Now I just want to talk about this plastic strip here. That's an interesting place for a plastic strip. Very interesting.
Why?
I just think it's weird. Hey, do me a favor, push in on the end of the wing. Show the people what you're doing for a sec. You see what's going on? Now show what's happening. As she pushes in, then I spin it.
A lot of it.
Causes lots of squeaking and pleasure. Okay?
Ooh,
see, nice fit.
Okay.
This thing is like biting every time I get done tightening. Let's see if it's broken. Is my tip messed up? No. I think it's fine. It's a very good fit. Okay. All right, here we go.
May I push?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I think it's going. So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, what we do is we unbox them, we build them, and then we set up the radios. And I'm telling you, the vast majority of people that are getting back in the hobby, you know, they kind of connect the dots from 20 years ago when they did it, but maybe you didn't do it 20 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago, you were a glimmer in your father's eye or less. And the truth is, we're here to help get you in the air. Now, if you buy this plane and you think, you know, it's plug and play, that doesn't mean that much. I should be able to figure it out. I'm an electrical engineer, or I'm a real full-scale pilot, or I'm an, you know, I fly spaceships, or whatever it is. There's still weird things about this hobby, and we're gonna help you work through them, okay? That doesn't mean we're like the only people that have ever done this or anything like that. We don't mean to toot our own horns in that way. But the truth is, we're here, we're helping, and the other people may not be right this second. I'm gonna use my hand as a flat. It's not snapped in. Goodness gracious. You see that thing that popped off?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the whole front one. It's in now. Goodness gracious, the plastic.
Yeah.
Like fitment issues are unusual on FMS, but this is admittedly a version 4, okay? Now, remember how we had issues with this? Before I put my screw in, I'm gonna see if this one goes, okay? Oh, obviously it goes this way. So this is gonna be lined up like that, then it's gonna go down and it's gonna go into here. So you see, once that's square, look at that, look how perfect that is. Yep, they gave us 2 and they were not both correct. Okay, now I can fold this out of the way. This one is right. Snaps right in, no problemo. And then I'm gonna hold this one. I know I'm blocking your view, but sorry.
Yeah, there's not really much you can do.
Okay? Look how that lines up nicely. Oh man, that's a scary thing to do. That's a scary thing to do. Okay, good.
Okay.
Look how it's lined up. Pretty nice fit. Too bad the plastic colors are different.
Yeah, there's a lot of white plastic on here, and there's like 3 different shades.
Yeah, switch sides. Okay, so same thing we did up front, we're gonna do it right now. I'm gonna take and slide this through. Then once it's slipped, I'll kind of bend everything into position. Now remember, make no mistake, this is actually doing something. It's not just for looks. Now, do you need it to fly? Probably. You might be able to fly without, but you certainly aren't gonna be doing aerobatics. Okay, I'm gonna just turn this back, even though you don't have to do it that way. That's the way I'm gonna do it, because it'll give me lots of precision. Then when I start it, I'm just using my finger and thumb to hold it until the nylon hits. And then once we hit the nylon portion of the nylock, then I can use the box end wrench and then torque it down. Now this doesn't need to be torqued all the way down, but I would suggest just tightening it all the way. Because like if you're gonna take this on and off all the time, you know, I just don't want it to vibrate loose, but it's a nylock, it should be fine. Nylocks are not 100% impervious to vibration, but they are a lot better about vibration than just a regular knot. Okay, so that worked pretty good. All right, so now that we're done with that, I can put away my janitor key set.
And we should look at this thing over here now that we've got one in and make sure that we weren't having some weird optical illusion and it does fit and our brains just didn't.
It was not an optical illusion. It's wrong. I'm
pretty sure you're right.
This is wrong. How do I know? Because this goes forward and it needs to go backward. Okay? So show the people. When I snap this in, look where the holes align. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
So this is definitely supposed to be for the other side. Okay? Definitely.
And if you flip it around.
So if this was bent, so if I flip it around,
then it's still.
Then it would reach, but then look at the angle up here.
Right.
So now the choice is, do I want to take this plastic and fold it all the way over here? And this plastic on the tip and fold it all the way over here to align here? Or do I want to, conversely, do I want to heat this and bend it back and heat this and bend it back? The difference between the intersection of components is greater change here, but less change here in order to accomplish our end game, correct?
Is it?
The catch is, this is thicker material. This is bending on a flat. This is bending on a wide. So you're screwed either way, truthfully.
Yeah.
But I think we're not gonna use the taser because that's gonna char the finish. But what we could do is we could heat this anywhere along here and we could just bend it like that.
Oh, scary.
Well, it's not really scary because this is not necessary for flight performance. Okay. I just think it's probably gonna make it look ugly.
Yeah.
So this time, and to be honest, do you have a better option?
No.
We could use a heat gun, but that's a lot of work and I don't wanna waste my time on it. Here's what I'm gonna do. You guys ready for this? This is the wrong part. This is gonna get bent in, this is gonna get bent out, okay? So I want it to essentially be that, but I wanna keep this angle the same, okay? Heat, blue flame. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's hot. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I don't know if I got enough. We'll find out. Okay. Ain't gonna bend. Not yet.
Not yet.
I need to have something I can hold this with because it's getting so hot. But I want to hold it with something I can hold it with that I can not put a big mark in it. What if I could use these things? I could never use this tool.
What are those?
That's something to, like, for helis and ball joints and stuff. It's a ball presser or some sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds exciting.
The ball presser. So as usual, it doesn't really do anything useful for me. I'm just looking for something I can grab it with that's not gonna leave a big bite mark in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay, never mind.
Not that tool.
I could go to regular pliers or I could go to needle nose. This is a more conventional tool, so why don't we use this? I'm just afraid that black crap is gonna come off on this white plastic.
Probably.
But I can at least do it. I can hold back here, okay? I can hold it tight, keep the flat, and then I can bend it, okay? So, thank God this is flexible so that it works terrible.
Yep.
Is there like a turn it? See, it's all the way to the positive. It's like, well, we gotta protect the babies. It's like, what babies are using a torch? Just the ones with the best parents, I would imagine.
Right.
Kids, quit playing with that thing. Oh, for God's sake. This is why we got the taser.
Right, yep. It is.
You guys see what I'm talking about? Just every freaking time.
Never works. And we've had a million of them.
This is like a perfect setup for some infomercial about the perfect lighter. You guys see what I'm talking about? I don't know if you have the same experience with these things. Get these things in 12 packs.
And they work for like 4 sparklers and
it's like, yeah, you can light
candles.
seven cigarettes and you're ready for a new one. And yeah, I can't tell if there's any fuel in there. It looks like it's probably empty.
You want me to go find you another one?
Yes. All right, so we got a new one, okay? Newer. Not enough. More heat, more heat. You guys probably hear me counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The reason I'm counting is because I want to know how to change. Okay, you guys see that did bend that time. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now as it cools, then it should, yeah, see, it held the position, okay? So now, same thing here, I want to heat, and we got a little bit of a bend, but it'll be fine. It'll still work, that's the key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And remember, we're going for the blue portion of the flame where possible. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A little bit of overbend. There we go. Okay. So now we've got the angles sort of flipped. Okay. All it took was 10 minutes of frustration. And to be honest, it's not perfect, but it'll be fine for what we're doing. And look, I even have a little mark of char. And I'm just gonna cut that off because, you know, what the heck? I'm not leaving that stinking char there.
Okay.
All right, so now we should be able to stick this in and make it work. If I got it right, which I'm pretty confident I did now that I can see the angles. I think I got it right enough. It's not like actually right. It's righter than it could be. Oh man. Plastic fitment on this plane leaves a lot to be desired, folks. Which is very unusual. The FMS planes that we build that are more current don't have this problem. They're very well fit. Oh, for God's sake, it's just awkward. But they have an arrow there, though. Show them the arrow. Come on, show them the arrow. Just zoom in on the arrow. There's an arrow right there. Here, I'll do it. Camera crew doesn't see it.
Oh, over there.
There's an arrow.
For forward? Why is there an arrow?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Oh, yes. Yep, see, it's wanting to pop out. Okay, I think we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. It's gonna be fine. Okay.
Okay.
It's in. That was annoying. I did not like that process.
That was weird. That
yeah, but they sent us the wrong part. We're big on this, like, hey, I got a new plane, I want to play with it.
Right.
And we're impatient. You might be patient, but I doubt it. So if you're impatient like me, then don't get that other type of lighter. These ones are better, evidently. You know, and admittedly, to the other one's defense, it might have been out of fuel since I think it was empty.
It might have been. But it still never worked very good.
Just so annoying because they work like 4 times and then they're out.
Yeah.
If you guys have that problem, put it in the comments below. Let me know all your gripes about lighters.
We can link to the taser if you want a better one.
We should. Okay, so now we've got the 2 wires. You guys see the 2 wires? The only thing I don't like about that is you see those stinking wires. Uggo. What about this? I think you're always gonna see them, but we might be able to take this out. You remember how many 14 or 15 times we tried that?
Yeah, I still don't think it's coming out.
I don't think it's coming out either. Okay. Well, that's fine. So obviously it's mostly built, really nice looking. We can do the supports after we put in the receiver. Now, why would we want to put the supports after the receiver? And full disclosure, look at the extra screws. I want you guys to understand these are extras. FMS likes to send extra. 1, of each type. Unless they're like really big, like expensive hardware that's weird, then you might not get extras of that particular
like
one.
Like a big thumb screw or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's about the only time you're not gonna get extras, okay? But then these extras, I keep into perpetuity so I can build a house out of them some year.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
So you say.
This antenna, I think the only way we're gonna get that to fit would be either to heat this up and stuff it in there, heat it up, and slide a hot shaft into the middle of it so it widens out the plastic. And truth be told, like, who cares? It's not that big a deal. I think, I'm not like super married to having antennas on my airplanes. I don't even know, is this an antenna or is this does this have a guy wire on it that would normally go back to support the tail? I don't know. They definitely show it. What do they call it?
Well, that's a good question.
They might call it something. Oh shoot, I don't even see it. Do they say in the instructions on the mounting?
Keep going. They'll probably show it right at the very end to put that thing on.
Yeah, right. Insert the antenna. They're calling it an antenna. Because sometimes I call things antennas that don't turn out to
that aren't actually.
It doesn't snap in. There's definitely no, it's got a lot of gap on it.
Yeah, it does.
Do you think I could just China glue it?
I don't know. We could try. If it comes off, we'll just take it off.
Yeah, what's the worst that would happen? Okay, so normally I would have an FMS China glue tube, but I just am out right this exact second.
Yeah.
So this is foam to foam. That's what you get for sending me the wrong size part, FMS. I doubt you're watching this part of the video. If you watch this much of our videos, seriously, go design a new airplane or something. You're like, why are you filling the hole up with China glue? Yeah, I know, I normally don't do that. But the reason I did that is because this stuff always drips, unlike the China glue from FMS. Foam to foam has this nasty habit of as soon as you take the cap off, it just starts spraying out.
It's because of the pointed tip, right?
It's eager. Okay.
Just because you can?
Just because I know it's gonna make controversy. I'm just gonna get a butter knife and reattach it properly. I did that on purpose because it'd be funny and then I could pull it out and let it dry.
There's like no glue on it even. It like all went down the hole. It does.
I'm just gonna let it dry though. Seriously, look.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, I wanna lay it on here. How about this? Watch this. I'm gonna stick it right there.
Yeah, we're not gonna forget that.
Why am I letting it dry? Because that stuff is contact cement. So you put it on, you let it tack up, you put it on the other surface, you let it tack up, and then you go. That was like the most audio description you've ever had about China glue. By the way, that's foam to foam. China glue from FMS. If you're ordering this plane and you're not ordering a tube of China glue from time to time, it's like super cheap, really good value, get some.
Yeah.
Obviously you can use CA for a lot of things, but I'm gonna tell you this. I've never had a bottle of China glue, unless it comes from Hobby King, dry before I opened it. Just get some, trust me. That's what they hold the halves of these fuses together. That's what they do all the main assembly of these planes with. It's got a little bit of resilience. If you have a crash, it'll flex. CA's not that way, okay? And again, not to poo-poo CA. I have CA, I do occasionally use CA, but I always get CA and it always dries out. And yes, I've put it in fridges. Yes, I put it in basements. Yes, I put it in boxes. Yes, I put it in all the different apparatuses you're gonna suggest. And I've still had a lot of it dry out. And CA is expensive, more so than China glue. China cheats. Okay, so now that we have the tail pointing our way, let's talk about supports, okay? There's top and bottom. We can put the top ones on, can't we?
Okay. Yeah.
I kind of want to just put them on. I just want the assembly of the plane done. Is that all right?
I don't care. I'm not telling you.
Okay, so look, I'm gonna hook
Those
this.
the long ones or the short ones?
Long.
Okay.
How do we know the long ones go on the top?
Because you guessed good and you're smart.
I'm a good guesser. And it's further apart. Okay, so I just lift the wing, put it in. My little cross is missing or is popping off. Okay, now we have to do the bottom. That does look pretty nice.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
I wish it was white though, because like honestly, no, that's okay that it's not white. It's okay. It doesn't need to be. There is one thing that's nice about not having inboard flaps, and it's a very small detail. That is, it's a little easier to pick up planes.
Do you?
Which is a lame reason not to have them. What?
If you put your
Look, hook one way, hook the other. See that? What?
Are you worried about not being able to get the control rod on?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
So I was gonna say, you put it on and just have it
Hook
laying
down.
there.
Yeah, I could do that. Okay, so you see this? I'm gonna, ooh, that's a heck of a bend. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Let's see if I can go this way, like that. Then maybe, that's just, ugh. Yeah, kind of there's not like a really obvious way to do it. Let's try the other side. Maybe it's supposed to go this way, like down. Ooh, that does seem a little bit easier. But then that seems like it's gonna fall out too easy, doesn't it? Or is that just in my head?
I don't think it's gonna fall out.
They gave me two of the same. Yeah, I guess I could try rotating it the other direction. Let's try now. Yeah, see, it's the same. They wanted to jig. They wanted to make one jig. Come on, there it is. See how that goes forward and this one goes backward?
Goes backwards.
But they're both going upright. Same scenario from earlier.
Okay.
What the heck? No, I know we're gonna have to put this in, but I'm just sitting here looking at this thinking, is that gonna interfere? I hope not. I was gonna put this the other way. If I put it the other way, you know what's funny about that? That would actually interfere. You gotta put it up, because if you put it down,
You're gonna hit the...
you might hit the control rod.
Jeez.
Huh, okay, well, I guess you live and you learn. Sometimes you get lucky. I'll go with lucky. All right, so now let's talk for a quick second. Remember earlier I talked about floats. We're not gonna put floats on this plane right now, but we hope to do that at some point when we have the pond finished. But just a real quick rundown. Kind of a lot of nitpicky things on this plane so far, and most of it comes from fitment issues with plastic. That's unusual. We're surprised and a little disappointed, but it's not that big a deal because really it's like an extra 10 minutes of frustration on camera for us, which for you might be an extra 30 seconds of frustration off camera.
Yeah.
But keep these things off. You'll use those once we have the radio plugged in. The receiver will command a position on the servos, okay? I don't know if they're centered right now. Now you could hypothetically plug in your XBC battery checker, which if you don't know what that is, you could use one of these things. This is a servo tester and a battery tester, and you can go into the menu and turn it on, and then you can plug in your servo. You can command a particular position, pulse width modulation in the center, pulse width at the top and at the bottom of the stroke. But that might not be necessary if you're just patient. You put your receiver in first, you can use a receiver that's actually gonna ultimately be in there anyway. And plus in this application, try not to damage my motor, you have a reflex installed. Okay, so the reflex is a flight controller that's gonna happen. It's the mediator past the receiver between the plane and the receiver, okay? And so as a result of that, you're gonna have to basically unplug it from the output side of the reflex, okay? So the glue is set up a little bit, the contact cement. Yeah, see, I feel like there needs to be a little material to make up that gap.
Or at least more glue now that some of the glue has had time to set up.
I mean, it would probably stay there if I just pushed it to the front or to the back. If you pulled it to the back, I think it would stay. If you push it to the front, it would stay. But then as you can see, it's still, there's just not much material in there.
That's just kind of bizarre.
I really don't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is another technique we've used in the past, and this has worked pretty good too. Let's just talk about this real quick. I'm gonna use a pair of scissors. You can use vinyl tape on something that's got a big gap like this, but I would like to and prefer to use clear tape, okay? Because it's right here. So I just take this tape, I'll take and trim down a sliver of it. That's probably almost too much. And then I'll just stick that on. And yes, we already China glued this, okay? So that's what, like 1.5 wraps? Let's see if that's enough. If it's not enough, we'll just put another wrap on there. 1.5 wraps should be a ton though. Then once you have that on there, we've already got some China glue in there. Well, that's a way better fit.
Way better.
Yeah, yeah. It's still enough that I could pull it out. Now, once that glue sets up, it's gonna be pretty challenging to get that thing out. And truth is, like if you've ever had airplanes, RC airplanes, the antennas are the first things to break off.
Yeah.
And you know, unless you're dealing with a plane like this where we've just got like one thing that's huge, and this happens to help get the canopy on and off, then you're probably not gonna really care that much. It's not that big a deal. It's, like I said, the first thing to pop off And hey, you know what I need to do?
Yeah, not have scissors in your hand. When
Not
you're
have
doing
scissors
that.
in my hand, and I need you to put weight here. See, because I was demonstrating this in this very video, and then I realized I never actually closed the canopy. So I'm gonna go pick it up and that'll pop off.
Pop off.
Okay guys, so the next part of the video is gonna be radio setup, which is gonna include mounting this. And some planes it comes at the very, very, very end, and other planes it comes sort of in the middle, depending on how the plane is physically configured. In this case, it's gonna be physically configured at this point of the video, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip this plane upside down again. We only put it on its wheels so that we could put that antenna in, because that was kind of like the last installation, physical installation. The other thing is this plane stand does slide in and out, but it actually is fitting pretty good. As long as I don't have to rotate the plane too much, it feels pretty good, okay? And this is a Robart plane stand, really popular, super easy to use. Should be fine if you guys want to copy and buy something like that. We have it in our tools, like where you'd be looking for the tools for the
Look in the
forceps
supplies
or
page. Yep.
Okay, so now radio setup involves picking a radio and picking a transmitter. In my case, I'm using the NX10. That's more channels than we need for the 6-channel receiver that we're gonna use. This doesn't have AS3X or safe, so it's not spatially aware, at least as it pertains to what we're doing. It might have some features that are pretty minimal on the telemetry side, because even this is a transceiver. It goes both ways. And it sends some feedback, namely receiver voltage, I think is all we get. So don't expect too much from this. Now, if you want to have full range telemetry, and if you want to have pack voltage, you can get a 6611.
6610.
6610, that's right, T, which is going to give you telemetry, but it's going to be absent AS3X and safe. Now, you don't need AS3X and safe because the reflex will give you that feature set for the stabilization and auto leveling. And we're going to show you how to set that up as we go. Now, you don't really have to set it up per se. You just assign a channel and it goes through this right here, which is going to be the mode, okay? Then you're going to have one that does your ailerons, and you're going to have one that does your rudder, and one that does your elevator, and one that does throttle. And then guess what? You're going to have another one that plugs in to this wire only for signal, and that's going to be thrust reverse. And we'll show you how to set that up. Now, Predator ESCs are the branded choice that FMS uses, okay? So if you look inside of here, you can see the Predator branded ESC. Yeah, Predator ESC 40 amps. You got to shoot from this angle. See how it says 40 amps ESC Predator, okay? So that's where your receiver is, or excuse me, that's where your battery is going to go. But if you have another brand, there might also be thrust reverse on it in the future, but generally speaking, like on a Spectrum choice, which would be an Avian ESC, there's going to be a yellow wire. That's a programming cable, totally different application, okay? But on the Predators, these have been configured to act as a thrust reverse channel, okay? So when you apply that, it's going to spin the motor the opposite direction of whatever the other direction is. So you may need to flip them, okay? We will show you how to do that. I usually make that assignment over here on G switch, but we'll show you exactly how to do that. Now, obviously with thrust reverse and props and regular just system performance, if you don't know what you're doing, make sure you watch through the video. We'll try to get you where you need to be. So 6 channels, is that enough? That's the first question you're going to generally ask. Do I need AS3X and safe, and do I have enough channels are the two main things you're going to ask if you're a brand new pilot trying to get some help from Brian Phillips RC, or at least that's what we would assume you'd be asking. Okay, so the first answer to your question is you don't need a stabilizer, which is AS3X. You don't need auto leveling, which is safe, because you get it with the reflex. Okay, now if you order this as a true plug and play that doesn't come with the reflex V2 or maybe another one later, then what you would do is you would get an AR631 with an antenna, 630 without an antenna. That's going to give you AS3X safe and a little bit of telemetry. Or you can go the full bore 637, which is going to give you all of that, AS3X and safe and full range telemetry, which is really nice. And that'll give you pack voltage too, but you have to tap that wire to actually test the voltage. Okay. Now, if you had an Avian ESC and you pulled out this Predator ESC, you can also control the Avian ESC for thrust reverse, and you can use one of the unassigned channels that right above the 6. But you'd be probably in a 631, a 630, or 637T, which is going to give you Vario as well, which is kind of nice. But you don't need Vario on this type of plane.
Yep.
Vario is a barometric pressure gauge. It's going to tell you if you're going up or down. A vario is what you use with that barometric pressure usually, but it also gives you altitude, which is nice. Okay, so the 620 is going to be fine for us. The 620 antenna is internal, which is nice. It's not spatially aware, so you just kind of plop it in this back end wherever it fits. You can glue it in there, you can tape it in there, you can Velcro it in there, you can just throw it in loose. We're probably going to throw it in loose. Now, where do we plug the wires in? Because we've got elevator, rudder, throttle, aileron, and then mode. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Now the other thing you can do, so if you can't count the wires, so that gives us one additional channel, thrust reverse, 6. Okay. Now if this had retracts, you'd be like, oh, what do I do now? What you would do is you'd probably set the mode to stabilized or off, but not auto leveling. If you don't have a channel to turn it off, don't turn on auto leveling. Auto leveling is a feature you want to be able to turn off so you can avoid hitting a cliff or a tree or a house, because it's going to limit your control authority to a certain extent. A little bit less than AS3X and Safe together on the Spectrum offering, but it's still going to limit things like bank angles, so you can't flip upside down, which would undermine the performance of the auto leveling, okay? So in this case, the mode is going to switch between stabilized, off, and auto leveling. Because we have 5 pluggable channels, 6 pluggable channels, we'll have a 6 will be thrust reverse. We definitely have enough channels, and I'll show you how to set that up next, okay? But we do have to eventually plug it in, so why don't I go ahead and pop this out of the case. So we'll just pull this out. That's your AS3X and Safe would normally be in this. It's gonna be a little bit different shape and size too, just so you know, but this one doesn't have that. So if you look on the side of here, it's not silk screen, but you can see in the very faint, it says minus, plus, and then signal or S. I think it says S. I know from experience, but it's very hard to see on this one, okay? So signal in this case is going to be, because this is Hextronics JR color code, is gonna be signal, is gonna be the orange or the yellow, okay? Now this one only has the signal because we also have ground and power in the Futaba color code. So we have ground, power, which is plus 5 volts from the BEC, and we have signal, okay? So signal is the lightest color, right? And you also notice they're side by side, which is kind of nice, okay? Now, this also carries power from the electronic speed control via the BEC, the battery eliminator circuit, and that runs the receiver, and it's in parallel to all the servos. And that's how power gets distributed to this servo and that servo and this servo and that servo, but not the motor. The motor steals power directly from the battery through basically a DC to AC switchover, okay? So that's what the electronic speed control does, is it uses 3 wires to conduct voltage across different series of magnetic coils, and it starts to spin the prod. And it uses timing and electrical feedback to sense the change in position of the stator on the motor, okay? If you don't know what any of that means, that's fine. You don't have to understand it, but the more you know, the better you'll be able to connect dots and start making solutions to your own problems as you advance through the ranks in RC. This is a beginner-esque plane, but I don't know that it would be like the first beginner plane I would do.
Right.
As we say, if it's pretty, don't get it for a beginner plane.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. You can do it, but you may find better success not doing that.
Or if you're coming back to the hobby,
you can do that.
Then
yeah, because you know the sticks,
yeah.
you have the muscle memory, your brain knows how to, coordinate turns and, up is up, down is down, left is left, right is right, that sort of thing. Yeah. It takes time to learn those things, okay? And no, it's not easy. If you're brand new, you're like, whatever, how hard can it be? Just trust me. The first time you're in the air and you're having a heart attack, you can think of what I said. Not an actual heart attack, but you know what I mean, being scared, being concerned.
And if it's been a long time since you've flown, you might be surprised at how much you remember just the stick movement.
Like riding a bike. Yep.
Are we gonna start? Are you just gonna start plugging?
So what I was gonna get to next, I was just letting you finish your thought, is if you know the order of these where they're gonna plug in, you can just start landing them. But because I don't memorize that sort of thing, even though I kind of know what they are, we're gonna show you how you would figure out if you didn't know. And that's by setting up a model profile. Slide that thing over to me, camera crew. Let's put this over here. So in order to start a new profile, we have to turn on the transmitter, okay? And because I'm not sure when this is gonna fit, I have to make sure the wrong plane doesn't pull up at the right time and get me in trouble. Okay, so it's on. Oh, it's to the Cherokee, so we're safe.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, so I can hit cancel and back. This is like the escape key or the cancel key. This is back, this is function. This is a scrolly wheel, it scrolls left and right. You can click also by pushing down, okay? Why are you over there?
Because you're gonna have to add a new model before.
Oh, okay, so cancel and back, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and to add new model and click. And come around. And then we're gonna create an acro. So after you've clicked new, then it's gonna create a new acro or a heli or a sailplane or a quad or a template or a bind and fly. I use acro to start. Now, while we hit create, it's gonna take forever on mine because we have like almost the model memory. Like we're gonna have to go through and start deleting things or move some of them off or do something because at this point we're almost out of model memory. Spectrum Airware supports 250 models. Even though we have a 1 terabyte drive on here, on my external drive. There's also an internal drive. Okay, so now it's done. So it goes to the system setup menu. This is where we came from. This is where we already set. This is the name, so we'll scroll in, see it's 205, but that's not true because we also have several before that that were misnumbered for my NX6, NX8, and then the second NX8.
Yes.
We had 2 NX8s because I had a scrolly wheel that died on me, or it didn't really actually totally die, but it started kind of jumping around all over the place. And then now we're on the NX10, okay? And before that I had a lot of others too, just to be clear. Okay, so we're gonna type in the name. Usually I go by what's on the box. It'd be like FMS. It says Piper J3 Cub. I guess I could say Piper J3 Cub, but I'm gonna have a hard time finding it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna probably say J3 Cub V4 or something like that. We'll come right back. Okay, so we ended up with FMS Piper J3 Cub 1.4. M doesn't fit. We're out of characters. So that's good enough. So we can hit back. Aircraft type. It is a normal wing. There is no flap, but if you were gonna add flaps, you could do flaperons, you could take out the Y cable. It's actually not like an insurmountable thing, but you have to keep in mind if you add flaperons on a non-AS3X and safe equipped plug and play that's using a Reflex V2, you have to give up stabilization and auto leveling control on one of your redundant ailerons, okay? So you're not gonna have any differential mixed in, you're just gonna have the movement, and then you're gonna have like stabilization working over here or over here and not here, okay? So that's because you have to take out the Y cable and assign a new channel. Now that also will undermine your ability to use the 6th channel if you want thrust reverse or if you want mode. You can lock the mode into whatever you want, detach it, and then use it for what you want if you would like to do that. We have done that numerous times on FMS planes that have the reflex. Once you plug it in, like say to the gear channel, to the A switch, you flip the switch, you get it flashing slow or flash fast. I can't remember, there's 3 modes.
Yeah, whichever mode
we
you
always
want
just
it to be
figure
in.
it out by looking at the way the plane is behaving.
Yep.
And then once we get it there, we just unplug it. And then you never plug into that mode again, okay? That would free up the channel. And then you'd be able to do flaperons if you want. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not a big fan of flaperons, especially not outboard flaperons. I think if you have a full length wing, flaperons are okay. And I've done it on a number of different biplanes, works pretty good. I don't have a big problem with that. Inboard flaps, historically, especially on a prop driven plane, a tail dragger, work really good because they get into the prop wash and really just help a lot. But if you get way out there, then when they go down, you got to do elevator up. It just causes a lot of weird things. So instead of ballooning, it pushes the nose down and you have to counter with up elevator. It's just strange stuff that I'm not a big fan of, okay? If it was a full length wing, aileron, then you don't have some of those strange circumstances. And you have a lot more aileron because you have a longer aileron to help continue to control roll authority once you've given up some of your throw with that takeoff flap or landing flap where you have them pointing down, okay? You can also do spoilerons where they would go up, and sometimes that helps to assuage some of those other weird complexities. But your plane tends to fall instead of slowing down and reducing the stall speed, okay? Hopefully we answered all your questions there. So I'm gonna set it up as normal, not flapper on. Tail type is obviously normal. Next, I'm gonna go to select image. We actually do have a picture of a cub over here. Yep, and that looks pretty close. Now, of course, you go to the floats if you got floats. Okay, cool. So we can walk back out. Now, we don't need flight modes in this, but you could set up flight modes and you can make that assignment of the flight mode to, you know, whatever switch you want, if you want to. We're not gonna do that. The only big advantage to that is you have an audible and a screen readout that says what mode you're in, okay? We don't care about that on this plane. Okay, so now the money shot. First of all, throttle cut for safety. Before we do anything else, switch H, because we do have a prop installed. Look down here, it says minus 100. As I move the stick, it's not working because we have throttle cut on. Perfect. Now throttle cut's off, and if I move the stick, it is working. See? So throttle cut's back on. I'm comfortable with that. And then mixing later, because of the way this plane is configured, you may want to add an aileron to rudder mix. And all you have to do is just turn it on, or you could set it to like switch C or something like this. And let's say in this mode you want nothing, but on this one you want like 20%, and on this one you want like a bunch, like you want 40% or some such thing, okay? So then when you move your ailerons, it's gonna also put a little bit of rudder in there automatically. See that? Or nothing, okay? And then see when I'm in the big mode, you can really see it adds a lot of rudder. Now what that would do is automatically coordinate our turns. Now you know how to do it. I don't normally do that a lot, but you can also do a rudder to aileron and elevator. And what that's to do is sometimes you'll have a plane that has like a dihedral and you'll give rudder and it's gonna roll the plane, so you can take that roll out autonomously by stick conditions. But again, it's not speed sensitive, and so as you change the speed of a plane, it's gonna change the relationship of those percentages, okay? Someday we'll get that. It's gonna be really cool when it happens. Most people won't understand it and play with it, but I will love that feature. And this does not look like it's snapped down. I'm just noticing, do you see that?
Well, but it wasn't, I mean, they didn't push in any further when you were.
It just doesn't seem like it went all the way. But it's a little bit further now. I don't know.
Given how hard everything else snapped.
Yeah, I figured it would be like a positive snap.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry I got sidetracked. Now going back to timer. Again, this is stuff we could do after the fact, after we hook everything up, but we're just gonna set this to like, I think 8 minutes is safe. Anything over 25%, I want to start the timer and keep running. That's what 1 out means. And then at 1 minute, I want a voice call out. At 20 seconds, I want nothing. At 10, I want a voice countdown. At expiration, I want tone and vibrate with a tone every minute thereafter. Okay, so when I move the stick up past 25, it starts counting down. Cancel clears it and resets it to 8. Okay. 8's a pretty safe bet on a plane this size, I'm guessing, with the 2200 3S. Okay. So now, we have a little bit of mixing set up. We have the timer set up. We have bind down here, but we're not going to do that yet. And we have all of the servos. We don't know what direction or if we need to make any corrections here. We generally don't have to do that until we're done with the next step, which is walking out, scroll over 1 step and you see monitor. Now that's where your flight mode would be handy, is it would say flight mode 1. You could say like stabilized, flight mode 2, off, flight mode 3, whatever, okay? But we aren't using that yet. We also know that I want an assignment on switch G for thrust reverse. So I'm gonna go to system. Actually, I'm gonna go back to monitor and let's talk about what we have. We have obviously this one's gonna be used, elevator, ailerons, that one's gonna get used, throttle and rudder, of course, is gonna get used. That's got throttle cut, so it's locked down right now. And then we're gonna have gear, so that's channel 5, and then aux 1 happens to be on D, okay? So obviously gear is not gonna be ideal for the modes because you either have like stabilization on or auto leveling, but I want it to have all 3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down to system setup. I'm gonna disconnect RF, acknowledge that, shuts off the light, tells you that your RF is off. And then I'm gonna scroll down to channel assign. And instead of gear being attached to A, I'll go ahead and use channel 5 on D. And then I'll use, instead of D on aux 1, I'm gonna use channel aux 1, channel 6, attached to G. Why G? Because G is going to be my thrust reverse. Now, yes, I realize I could have just only assigned one switch, but whatever. It's so easy to change them, just change them, okay? Now I'm going to go back to monitor. Now I've got my thrust reverse, and I'm pretty much guaranteed that's going to have to switch to -100, that's going to be -100, and that's going to be +100, okay? Just because I know the way these things work, but you know, we're not going to show that yet until we know for sure. And then D is now attached to gear, okay? So channel 5 is going to be for mode. And now my A switch for landing gear is not hooked to anything. Now, why do I want to get away from the gear switch? Because when I take off, I am so trained to retract the gear that I retract my gear even though they don't have retractable landing gear. Okay.
And so then you flip into safe
Into
or
safe or
stabilized
auto
or whatever.
leveling.
Yep.
Yep.
So you used to do it for non.
So now I've just gotten in the habit. I don't generally switch modes all that often. I do it generally for demonstration purposes only because I fly with stabilized planes. And that's the way I like the way they feel. I like the way they look. Also helps when it's windy, not this windy, for God's sake, that's terrible. Right. But, you know, we like to fly our planes in generally calm conditions to very, you know, like moderate winds at the worst. But when it's insane like this, the only thing I would do is slope soar.
But even now our son is used to using D for mode and stuff like that. So it's just,
and we would set our flight mode would be controlled by D.
Yep.
And then you would get that audible flight mode 1, flight mode 2, flight mode 3. Well, I don't want it to say that. I want it to be like stabilized.
Yeah.
Off. Auto leveling.
Yeah.
Okay. So throttle cuts on, stick is down. Get in the habit now that we're getting close to hooking this up. Okay. So you've got the monitor. If you want to come over here, we can show them that. First thing we need to do is, where does throttle hook up? Well, throttle hooks up on channel 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just look through these cables. Looks like looks like ailerons came up first. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. That's channel 2, right? Mm-hmm. So how do I know which way this goes? We looked at that earlier. So signal is up and then ground is down on this particular receiver. That's not like a normal rule of thumb or anything. Okay. Now I've got throttle in my hand. So that one's going to be on channel 1. So remember, there's BAT on the first one, and that's not a bind plug, that's a battery plug. You can use that plug if you have a battery, but oops, see, I plugged it in backward, guys, just to show it can be done. It's easier to plug them in if you do them right because they are technically keyed, okay? So that's our bind button, okay? All right, so then this one's elevator. Elevator should be what?
Channel 3.
Okay. So I'm just guiding that in. Then channel 4 would be rudder. Mm-hmm. Okay, so cable management, as you're doing, it's always the easiest if you can get away with it. Okay, I want to put this in this aileron tag so it's at about the same spot as the others and rotate it around. Okay, looks nice. They're all out of the way of each other. Now mode
is going to be 5.
Yep, that's the gear switch, got switched to that. And then we have thrust reverse, which is going to plug into just the top plug, and it's going to go to channel 6. So now we have full control of this plane. Now, because this is a super simple setup, I just don't like that there's no support on that, so it makes me just a little bit more nervous. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want that to get yanked out. I'm going to wrap around these cables a number of times, probably 2 or 3 times if I can. There's 1, there's 2. And then that's going to help hold that in place for me without having to add a bunch of zip ties and stuff, okay? You see what I did there? It's also going to pick up eddy currents, but the eddy currents at 5 volts are like minuscule. So if you don't know what eddy currents are, take your thumb, the direction of flow of electrons, they run perpendicular to that, and they make an orbital magnetic field. Essentially, that's the easy way of putting it. Eddy currents are generally present with higher voltage. They're present with lower voltage, they just don't make as big an impact.
Doesn't matter as much.
Yep. Okay. So you see this? Now I'm going to take these little bunches of wires, and I'm just going to hold them. And I'm going to say, okay, where can I put this that this is going to just look nice and be easy to manage? And then what can I do to make sure nothing's going to come undone in flight? Well, I think in this case, I'm just going to give it a half twist and go around. I'm just going to do this real quick and dirty. Quick and dirty because I can. And then look at that. We're basically done, guys. That's my cable management for this plane. I can live with that. That was pretty easy cable management.
Well, since you don't have to get in that pocket again, really, it doesn't
Shouldn't matter. As long as it's not getting flopped around in there. Now, we got to talk a little bit about batteries. Okay, so we already had some discussion about this earlier. Oh, it opened. Okay. So we need to be able to put a 2200 3S in here. Okay. So we're at that time of day where, oh, the sun is blinding me.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2200 3S, this would be the pack I would normally use. This is a smart pack. It's got a data line that goes between the main negative and the main positive, and there's no balance lead on the outside. If this was a Gen 1 battery, then you would have the addition of, here's an example, it's not the exact size because this is a 4S. You'd have a balance lead like this, and then you would still have your data line, okay? We don't need a balance lead on a Gen 2 pack, whereas we wanted one on a Gen 1 pack because that gave us the ability to balance from the charger and not from the circuit. The circuit on a Gen 2 is more capable of balancing and current handling than a Gen 1. That's why there was a balance lead included. Now, you could still disable the balancing on a smart charger and just opt to have the battery do it itself. That's fine too. And it would keep up unless you were doing really fast charge rates. And if you ever touch here and it's warm on your battery, that means that the battery is auto discharged within very reasonable proximity. Now I'm gonna turn on my S2200. This is a 2-channel, 200 watts. You got IC3, IC5 on both of these, which is really nice, and then your balance lead. Of course, you don't need the balance lead on this, so I'm just gonna plug this in and show you how hard it is. Once you've set up your battery the first time, it initiates smart charging. That's how easy that is, guys. It's doing it, you don't have to think about it. It's gonna automatically charge at the rate you set at the onset or by what it's defaulted to. Now, default out of the battery box, you open this up, you take off your little packaging. This thing is gonna be set to auto discharge after 72 hours. 72 hours, as you know, would be what, like 3 days? Okay. So I have mine set to 240 hours, 240 hours meaning 10 days. Okay. That's a long time. That's also gonna give your your batteries the lowest life expectancy, because the quicker you can auto discharge these, the safer they'll be chemistry wise, the easier it is on the actual chemistry, unless you hold to the position that I was gonna fly on the 5th day, and therefore I would have had to then recharge and, you know. So you can make the argument either way.
Right.
My argument is I need them ready when I'm ready. Your argument as a manufacturer that has to insure themselves and doesn't want to get sued all the time is we want them to automatically discharge after 72 hours.
Right.
Strike the balance between longevity of packs, chemistry of packs, safety of consumer, and product availability and insurability and things like that.
If you know you're only ever going to fly on the weekends, just set them to discharge at the end of the weekend and get them charged up on Friday.
That's what 72 hours would do generally. Okay.
So then you're good.
So now you can press the down and you can see where we are for voltage. You can see the internal resistance and all that stuff. And walking back out to the main screen. Also, if you don't know how to do it, since we're talking about it real quick, you can stop, then you can press and hold, and then you can go into the smart settings, and then you can change. See how it says 240 hours? You can also turn that off, by the way. But it would be stupid to do that because that's like one of the best features of a smart pack, okay? Right? You can also set where it goes to for your storage voltage. 3.9 volts DC, not 3.8 like you probably thought it was. If you have a Gen 1, they will automatically populate that data at 3.8 volts, not 3.9. The Gen 2, since there's no balance lead, they want to give themselves a better crack at success. So I'm going to plug this one in and charge it as well. Now, we have obviously some 4S packs here that I believe are charged and ready to rock and roll. And then of course you could use any other battery you've got. I'm pretty sure this one is a Predator branded 1300. It happens to be charged. We'll just check real quick. Sometimes they won't let you bind if you have a low charge. Yeah, 40%. But I'm just thinking I need something to actually finish the setup on this plane. And so that's why I was hoping I would find one that's charged and ready to go. Because if it's charged enough to go, 13%. Well, that's actually good for storage though.
Right.
So that's the other thing. If you guys have batteries that you're not putting into storage charge, then you're gonna tend to have batteries that don't last very long. And that's why I love smart batteries, because smart batteries take care of themselves. And as you can see, we have many batteries.
Few of them.
Hey, while I'm at it, I'm gonna throw this away.
You are?
I know.
Oh.
I'm not even gonna take it apart and save parts.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that being said, we gotta get our battery charged. We're gonna pick up a couple of tools and come right back. Okay, so this is full disclosure, not totally charged, okay? So camera crew's gonna stay clear of the prop.
Okay.
XT60 will mesh up with an IC3. That's what this is, an IC3, which is based on an EC3, but a lot better, okay? And if you need an adapter, that's fine, just use an adapter, but this will work, okay? So it plugs in. I wanna see if I can slide this in the way I expect it will. Okay, so it's in the I'm not bound mode right now, which is nice. I don't know how this battery is gonna slide in here though, exactly. You might need to kind of pocket it out a little bit. I'm not sure. I don't like having my hand up here by a prop. So let's bind it and get control of the prop. So be safe.
Okay.
Press the bind button. It's binding, or it's in the bind mode. Now stay free of the prop.
Yep.
I'm gonna scroll down to bind. I'm gonna click yes, bind. Control the plane, DSMX 22 milliseconds telemetry. So it's bound. See dances, I see movement. We probably are in auto leveling. Now we're not. Auto leveling is at the top. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna check throttle. So the camera crew is gonna come around to where she's safe with me. Okay. So in order to check throttle, I'm gonna clear the timer. I'm gonna throttle cut is on. I'm gonna hold the plane, it's upside down. I know that doesn't really matter though. It's not working, good. Now I'm gonna turn off throttle cut, make sure it doesn't jump to life. Okay. Okay, we have forward thrust, just out of curiosity. We have reverse thrust.
Nice.
No, we don't. We have forward thrust still. All the way down. Forward thrust. There's reverse thrust. There's forward thrust. Look at the
Paper towels.
okay. There we go. Now, throttle cut's on. Let's talk about what's happening. I'm changing between quickest route there, quickest route here, okay? And I'm in auto leveling, okay? So throttle cut is on and tested, and it's working. All right, come around. So now my next move is I'm gonna click, go to servo setup. I'm gonna go to travel, reverse, and I'm gonna reverse my gear channel, which is now attached to D. Now I'm out of auto leveling. That should be stabilized mode. Show them the flash. Come over to my left. See how it's flashing, like slow heartbeat? Very slow. Oh no, it's like a fast flash, flash, flash. And then auto leveling. So you want the steady, 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 steady. Duty cycles are like 50, 50, 50, 50. Then duty cycle is off, flash, flash, flash for off. Okay, now how do we know it's off? We've already given throttle. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. We already trust the throttle. That's stabilized. How do we know? As I move it, I can hear it. I don't even know if it's correcting the right direction because we don't have linkages on. Why do we care what mode is? Because I want that upward D position to be stabilized. Off, auto leveling. Very clear which way auto leveling is because the ailerons are gonna try to find the quickest route to level. Now, why do we care about that? Because I want it in off mode when I'm putting my linkages on my tail. Okay, so now I can lay this back down carefully. The linkages are the linkages for the elevator and the rudder. Okay, so if we come over here, we've got two of them. We have to put them both on. We have movement, and then just to be safe, throttle cut is tested again. Now at this point, we know the way everything is hooked up. We're done binding, so I can actually close that in the opening. And then we shouldn't have to mess with it. And if you're thinking, I don't want you to bump that bind button. Well, I don't want to either, but the truth is like you have to do it at a certain time for it to work. And I'm gonna probably try to find a spot where this bites. Does it taper? Does it taper? does it taper? If I go here, this is where that tab needs to be. Ooh, there's an opening there. You guys see the opening? I'm just trying to find a spot I can stuff this. Boom, right there, stuffed in. Very good. So now that'll just kind of hold it. Done. Nice. Okay? Real simple. Now, if your center of gravity needs attention, you may need to use this, and you can run that wire back here and get your battery in and out here if it's a real problem, okay? But I don't know how that's gonna work out with floats and stuff, okay? So real quick, we gotta make the rudder work, and we gotta make the elevator work, okay? So I'm just moving it. We already know what direction we want this to go. We want this to go like that when I pull back on the stick. So that's gonna push it up. That's gonna push it up, and I'm just kind of pulling back on the stick. I'll walk out of the reverse menu. That's gonna make it go up. That's gonna make it go down. So it's already going the right direction. Now, in the manual, it's gonna tell us where to actually put.
You're on elevator, so outside and outside?
And on the rudder, it's on the outside and outside.
Outside and outside.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you're doing this, pretty simple solution. This thing goes on the control output on the surface, and this goes on the linkage of the servo. Okay, so I like to go like here, and I slide it in. Oh, it's gonna be one of these it's difficult to get into. Come on now. So I'm gonna get needle nose pliers to help with this step. You may or may not need the needle nose pliers in your application, but in mine, I'm finding that I need them. So what are the needle nose pliers gonna do? They're gonna support the plastic so that I can push hard against this hole. Sometimes you gotta, trade me sides, please. Sometimes you don't wanna snap that in early, and I did on accident, because this is not wanting to slip in here worth a darn. And this is something we used to have all the time when we were building models. I can definitely tell this one's been updated. So look what I'm gonna do next. This is my next course of action. Once you get it started, it should go pretty easy, okay? So now I can just use this to press it through the rest of the way. See how hard it is to get through? Sometimes you gotta open those up with like a screwdriver, or not a screwdriver, but like a drill. Okay, see now I turned it, look at that. Now we're in. So now obviously that's gonna move in and out. And so we want this to be level, which means we're gonna have to screw that way in, that control.
Wow.
Yeah, that clevis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good Lord, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough clearance.
Were they both the same length?
Yeah, they're the same length.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
pretty dang close if they're not. Now, the other thing you can do is you can take this screw out and move it one spline position forward, but I don't like it because it's not gonna be square. Not gonna be as square, right? We got a long ways to go too. Goodness gracious. But it'll go. It'll go because it passes through. Because look, this style is opened on the bottom.
Oh.
Yeah, so I can turn this a few times too.
So it'll just keep.
So if you know you're gonna go way in, here's a trick. Take this, this is an fuel hose. You can put that there, go ahead and snap it shut. If it's high quality, this one is, you can do it. Now, or you can just slide it off of there. You can sit and grab right here where you can really support it with your fingers, and then just run it in, and that's gonna actually thread the hole. Okay, because believe it or not, these are not always threaded when you get them out of the box. And guess what's gonna happen? Eventually that rod is gonna protrude through, and that's what's fighting us on our other one right now, okay? Just don't go all the way off, because if you do, you may compromise the threads that you cut in the plastic, okay? Just take my word for it. If you don't understand everything I said, just try to do it and take my word for it a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this. I think we're gonna be fine. We're not gonna shoot off the end of the threads. Now you can always thread that longer, or you can take this whole apparatus off and you can take 2 pairs of pliers and make a bend, and then take 2 pairs of pliers and bite next to it and make another, like a Z bend. And that will shorten the whole assembly up. Boy, that is a long ways. Look at that, we're still another quarter inch off.
Yeah, several turns.
But I just don't want to break this thing. Yeah, definitely not helping having that wire in the way. I was afraid that was gonna be a pain, but I really don't wanna take it out either. That's our timer, by the way, folks. There, so I just undid that. I'll just fold that out of the way because it's just getting in the way. So now I can turn this a little easier because my hand, you see how my hand is, it's like right where I needed it.
Yep. Okay,
so I overshot. That's actually not a terrible thing because then it'll help prime the hole if we need to. Wow, that was like super lucky. I think I got it. Is that perfect, or I need to go out half a turn?
A little bit.
Okay, so half a turn more. And that's gonna put me, I gotta snap it in just to see. How do we look now?
That's what
Yeah, that's pretty flat. Okay, now I'm gonna snap this, so show the people. So you just feed this around like this, go to the outermost hole, snap it shut, and then slide your fuel hose almost down to the end so you still have movement. Very good. And then we're gonna put this back on. I'll hold it with my needle nose, pull it really hard, and then just drop it down in and let go. Okay, so we have the elevator going the right direction. Now rudder. The rudder's gonna be over here. So we've already pre-threaded this in, so it should be a little easier. Outside hole, let's see if it goes. Man, these rods are just really tight. So I'm gonna do the same thing I did before, which is to support this. My first step is to support it and then try to drop it in. And if that doesn't give me success, I'm gonna use this. Press it in, get it started, and then just go give her heck. But man, I have to kind of twist this as I'm going because it's so rough. Good Lord. And of course you gotta go under there. Now, rudder, kind of the same thing as the elevator, but you have better visibility on it as a builder. So you're gonna hold this and then you wanna get that lined up. So I need to actually pull it out a little bit. And in order to do that, I'm probably gonna have to take this off. Okay, no big deal, I guess. Okay, so I gotta go out. So I'm gonna twist this, untwist this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're getting close. 5, 6. So now what I'm doing is I'm stopping shy, so that's not enough, not enough. Ooh, we're getting close there. That's gotta be pretty dang close. So then I pop that head out. See if I can get this lined up. You see how it's kind of pulling a little bit to this side? I gotta go out another half a turn. There's another half. Let's see if that's good. Oh yeah, look at that. We're pretty dang close, but we're not there. One more half turn. Be picky now. This is the time to be picky, folks. There you go. Okay, I feel like we were between on that. Snap it in, and then let's see if it moves the right way. I don't know. We'll check in a second when I flip it over because it's too hard for me to comprehend in my brain. Slide that through. Pull hard. Does it let you? Yep, it let me. Okay, good deal. So you guys see what I'm talking about? The clearance issues. If you put that in upside down, you would not clear your clevis. Okay? So now we need to talk eventually about the battery, and the battery is a bit of an issue because you guys see, we gotta make sure these are going the right direction, but in order to do that, I gotta have the battery in. So the ESC is fine. The wire could go down into the cavity up front, but you just don't wanna go so far that you go hit the back side of the motor. But then once you get that in there, then I think I can drop this back, but goodness gracious, well, I guess forget about the tape.
Where are you trying, like where can it go?
I'm just trying to get it in there. Just trying to get it in the cavity. And that's part of my problem is there's not like an immediately obvious way to do it. Okay? Also, I want to get this tape off of here now. That tape was supposed to work and it didn't, guys.
It didn't.
Sorry. So going this direction, I can probably slide the battery back a little teeny tiny bit further, but you see my problem. Look, I keep running into length issues with this pack. This is a pretty small battery.
Is this pack way bigger than?
No, than a dumb pack. I don't like having to put that much pressure on the lead.
No.
So I'm gonna go back up here with it. I'm gonna slide that lead way up inside of there, and then I'm gonna double it back like this, and then that gets my battery lead past the opening. That's just gonna suck to do when you're out there trying to fly. Oof. Okay, so it's in there. It's definitely in there, good. But it's also trapped, which I do like.
Okay.
Whatever, that's not the most impressive battery loading.
No.
Okay, so we're gonna put this out of the way. We're gonna need that back in a minute. It does look sweet. I like the way it looks a lot. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so before I get too excited, elevator up, elevator down, roll left, backward, okay? So servo set up, travel over to reverse, ailerons reversed. Roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, and yaw right. Look at clearance, we're hitting, okay?
Both sides?
See how that hits? What do you want to give up, camera crew? Do you want to give up this, or do you want to give up a little bit of that, or how do you want to do it?
If you give up a little bit of rudder throw.
I want rudder throw.
But that's a lot of rudder though.
Look, that's with the mix.
How far do you have to go before it doesn't hit?
Watch with the mix. I can really make it hit now.
Okay.
See, it like binds the control surface. Ooh. So the way you would do that is you would probably have to cut off a little bit of this. And I think that's gonna hide the best, don't you?
Really? I mean,
you don't have to do that. You could just not give that much rudder. The other thing you can do is you can limit your throws. Okay. This is a lame way of doing it because I like a lot of rudder on a plane like this. Okay, so scroll back to reverse, go over to travel. You can do travel here, oops. So now I want to go to rudder. Okay, so elevator, move, rudder. Now over here you can see it. At 100%, I'm gonna back it off. Geez, 70%, look at that. Now it's free and not touching. Okay, now over here, same thing. Whoops, highlight it, reduce it down to 70, still touching. So 65, now we're free. Now I'm gonna go to this one and I'm gonna reduce it down to 65. Okay, so we have even distribution and deployment of rudder, so elevator up and down. Now, without a mix, everything is fine. And we're clear, show them the clearance. Okay? And we're not gonna hit, okay? So that's all we need. If you're gonna have a mix for coordinated turns, then this is what it'll look like. You'll give aileron and it's gonna coordinate a little bit for you, okay? Or a little bit more. That's the way we set it up on this plane. I'm not gonna use that. I don't coordinate, I just use both sticks, like all the time. Sometimes it's nice, but again, it's not speed sensitive, it's not positionally sensitive.
Under 15%.
Okay, so that being said, now thrust reverse is the last setting and we should be done because we've already set up modes. Now I can go to auto leveling and see if we have the correct movement. The elevator is trying to level it by pull the nose up. Now, as we get out of level, tries to find the quickest route to level, and then once you're level, the ailerons stay level, okay? So now in stabilized mode, I'm gonna move the plane, rudder toward me, rudder away. Rudder toward me, can you see it? Rudder away.
Yes.
Rudder toward me, now elevator up, elevator down. I'm just watching the elevator go. I want it to go opposite of what I'm doing. Can you see it? Elevator up, elevator down.
That's
elevator up. Now aileron. I want to see this. When I lift the wing up, I want that to go up. It went up. It went down.
Yep.
Give me the camera. I'm going to show them one more thing. Okay, so one more angle. Aileron up, aileron down. Aileron up, aileron down. And then rudder left, rudder right. Now elevator up, elevator down. Elevator up, elevator down. Okay? So all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show the correction should be opposite the movement, okay? The movement being not me, but environment, okay? So it's working in the right direction. Throttle cuts off, reverse thrust right now. That's not what we want. So throttle cuts on, I need to reverse the action of this switch. There's two ways to do it. The smart way is to reverse it here because it's easy. But the correct way to do it, and I'll tell you why in a second, is digital switch setup. Go to the switch, select G, exercise it, Turn this to minus 100. That's gonna get your forward thrust when the switch is forward. Okay, so here's minus 100. Then this one's gonna be plus 100. So you're gonna get reverse thrust as soon as you go to plus 100. And then this one's gonna be plus 100 as well. And that's all via aux 1, okay? So as it says in the center at the bottom there. Now, why do I wanna do it this way instead of just reversing the switch? I don't want to float, okay? So now when we go to monitor, look what happens. G controls that. That's reverse thrust, reverse thrust, and forward thrust. See, forward thrust or reverse thrust. There's no middle step. Middle is dangerous, middle is dangerous, middle is dangerous on thrust reverse. You need to command full output impulse with modulation. You don't want to be in that halfway step and get your fingers cut off because you made a mistake, okay? So first things first, throttle cuts off. Forward thrust, as you can see, my shirt is blowing. Now reverse thrust. Oops, reverse thrust. Well, I didn't want to knock the Draco off.
Yeah, don't do that.
Throttle down low. Reverse thrust and reverse thrust. Reverse thrust still. Now forward thrust. Throttle cut works in any direction, regardless of stick position. Throttle's all the way down. Thrust reverses off. Forward thrust. That's powerful playing. Throttle cuts on. That also helps when you're trying to back away from reeds in a pond. And there will be a rudder to help with that, but thrust reverse is the ticket. Now, the only thing that we haven't done now is basically flying the plane, which you guys have already seen, and what?
Dual rates and expo.
Dual rates and expo.
When you flip that switch, made me think that we didn't do that yet.
Thank you. Dual rates and expo, good place to start. This might be different for each person individually. This is where I start. We're going to 5%, then 10, then 20. Then 20, and I'm gonna drop my rates to 90 on all three. This is what we do. On switch F, 5%, then 10%, then 20, and drop the rates down to 90, but only in that top setting. So this is where we start. If we need more, we've got more. If we need less, we've got less, okay? And we do that for all three control channels, or three axes of control. The primary flight control surfaces are elevator, ailerons, and rudder. And so we want to just make sure that we can get back to the ground. By the way, I rarely change these settings. They're a very good setting. I've had great success with them, and I always start. Okay, so everything is set with the exception of center of gravity has not been tested. So let's go ahead and get this thing on the plane stand. We're safe, we're out of auto leveling. And we're just gonna put it upside down real quick. We'll mark the bottom of the wing. Okay, so the bottom of the wing needs to be marked somewhere. I got a red marker. We're gonna use 55 to 65 is the range. So we'll turn these on. We're in millimeters, 0 it, and we'll go to 55 to 65. Okay, so 55, close enough. From the leading edge, we'll go ahead and make a bump. We'll come over here, we'll do the same. We'll make a bump, and then we're gonna go to 65. And that's gonna give us our full range, which I can tell you this, if you can get the battery in there, you're gonna probably be okay. There's a mark.
You're not gonna have a lot of adjustment.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, so now I'm gonna do a red dot just to make it easy to find. Okay, now a black dot would have been fine too. I let the camera crew decide on that. Okay, so now how do we test the center of gravity? We put all this crap away, get it out of our way, and then we flip the plane over, throttle cuts on, verify your throttle cuts on, make sure your throttle sticks low, make sure your battery's installed, make sure you're bound, make sure you're totally set up. Front holes, we balance nicely. Back holes, we balance a little bit nose heavy. Somewhere in the middle, we're just spot on. This plane's gonna fly perfect when we get the right opportunity. Keep in mind, if you're a brand new pilot, wait for a good day to fly. And if you need more help, check out BrianPhillipsRC.com. That's our domain. So Brian Phillips with an I, all I's. And check it out. You can see if there's maybe another plane that's better for your needs, or if this one's perfect. I can tell you this J-3 Cub's gonna fly good. I can already tell it's gonna fly good just from looking at it. It's beautiful. It's gonna do the job. It's got good thick wings. It's gonna have really light wing loading. It's got a little bit of dihedral. Well, it's pretty close to flat, a little tiny bit, maybe a couple degrees. Dihedral would be like this. Flat, of course, would be just straight across. And then you could have polyhedral or gull wings, where they go up and down like on an F4U Corsair. And no flaps, so really basic setup. The only thing that's special on this one, of course, is thrust reverse, which we set up using the included Predator ESC. Obviously, I had to modify to get the antenna in, had to modify one of our brackets to make them fit, and that was annoying. But beyond that, pretty easy build. Obviously, the version 4 means that they've had a few changes over the years, and that's probably where we get the disparity on some of the plastic fitting points. But really, really like the beautiful canopy cockpit area and glass. Absolutely gorgeous. I think this thing's gonna do okay on grass ops. The clearance might be a little tight for being a 1400 millimeter plane. And just to give you an idea, I'm 6'1" or 2", and you can see for spatial awareness, it's a pretty big size. It's not huge. Obviously, it's not as big as some of the biggest planes we've done, but it's a good size class. It should fit in a car pretty easy because it doesn't have a really long body and a long wingspan. It's just a long wingspan in general. So if you're looking for something that would be beginner suitable, I would still steer you toward a bind and fly option, but ready to fly or bind and fly. But if you have to do a plug and fly, and maybe you're not using Spectrum, this would be a great choice, especially given that you've got the reflex. Now, if you're watching this after maybe a new reflex came out and you want to use the new reflex and you need some help, we'll eventually have those as well. But the truth is, one of the biggest reasons why I like a reflex is you get a basic receiver. It could be from any manufacturer and you can do all the stuff we did, but it might just be a little bit harder. And I'm just gonna stress this enough. I can't stress this enough. The NX10 is more expensive than the NX7E. It's more expensive than the NX8. It's more expensive than the NX6. Don't get the 6. If you can't get the 8, get the 7E. If you can't afford the 10, skip the 8, go from the 7E to the 10. The 7E is gonna get you in the door, run you for a couple of years. You'll be able to do 90% of what you need to do. And then occasionally when you run into a plane where you need a few more channels, you're gonna need something like 10, okay? You don't have to get an IX20 to do this hobby. You don't have to get an IX14 to do this hobby. You don't need an IX12 to do this hobby. You can do them and they're great and you'll love them. And you'll never look back, guys. You really won't on a nice high quality transmitter. But the truth is, if you split the cost of this, let's say it's $550 right now or $600 even. Let's say it's $600 right now. You get 10 planes, you spend $60 per plane. That's less than you spend on the receivers, okay? Don't screw around, get the one you know you need. As soon as you know you're hooked, get it. Don't waste your time. Don't overthink it. I promise you, you'll be overthinking it. I have a DX18, bought it myself years ago. We obviously work with all these manufacturers now. I got a lot of transmitters. You will never regret buying a good transmitter. You will regret buying a crappy transmitter. You will regret getting one that's got 1 too few channels. You will regret getting one that has 2 less channels than you need. You'll really regret one that's got 3 less channels. But you won't regret getting into this, even if later you end up with a really expensive Futaba or JR, or not JR, you're not gonna get JR. But if you end up with a Jetty or some insane like $2,000 transmitter, you'll never regret your entry point. I promise you that. Unless it's 2 weeks later and then you're gonna be pissed that you tried to cheap out.
Yep.
I'm giving good advice here. I'm not trying to upsell you. We got links to this in the video description below. We have links to that, the cheaper. This NX7 is great. It's gonna get you a long ways in the hobby. Don't get the 6. Get the 7E or get the 10. Don't mess around in the middle ground. And we're about to run out of battery, so I gotta wrap this up. So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we care about your success. We're not gonna push fastest, bestest, cheapest, greenest, bluest. That's a bunch of BS, it's a waste of your time. And we do long videos, okay? Explaining things does not make a waste of your time. Not explaining things and having you crash and fail is a waste of your time. That's why we go the extra mile here. That's why we ask you to buy from the links in the video description below. If you want to support us elsewhere, we have Patreon for monthly support, PayPal for individual one-time donations. Do not do goods and services. Do friends and family, please, if you insist on doing that. Also, we have YouTube Super Thanks and YouTube membership, which would be monthly support as well. All of those things though, just put them over here on the shelf and just understand we do that because people have asked us for years. We really want you to buy planes. We want you to buy planes. We want you to buy helicopters. We want you to buy quads, VTOLs, helicopters. Fixed wing is really where my heart is, but I love it all. Cars, trucks, tanks, bashers, smashers, crawlers, all that stuff. We love it all. But what I really mostly primarily desire is aviation with fixed wing, okay? And that's why you're gonna see the most of it here on Brian Phillips RC. And you'll be coming up the ranks with me, guys. I'm not an expert pilot, I just do a lot of it, okay? So check it out. You'll be supporting us if you buy the batteries, if you buy the receivers, the transmitters, the planes, and that's the best thing you can do to keep this little RC ecosystem going. Our aim is to grow the hobby quickly, get more people involved, help people through the hurdles of stupid regulatory things like remote ID and all that crap, which is a huge waste of everybody's time. But the truth is we live in a world where things happen. That happened, okay? So now we're gonna help you get past it. The sky has not fallen, even though it feels like it might have. It's not. This thing is still alive. This thing is still thriving. And we have legislators responding to our concerns, even though they should have never done it in the first place, they did. And now we get to deal with it. So stay tuned, so much more from Brian Phillips RC. We're glad to have you, and thanks so much for your support. Don't forget to check out the links, you get one for yourself. Come back for more.